lies. It was just
bullshit. What's the difference?
It wasn't lies. It was
just bullshit.
The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit.
Who said liar? I said bullshit artist. And what's the difference? Because I don't lie.
Hello and welcome to No Lies, Just Bullshit. I am your host, Nick Swartz, and this is part B to my homeboy Sam's episode. Came out a few weeks back. Before we get into that, first and foremost, shouts to Lions Tattoo Supply. Second, Norfolk Tattoo Expo. I should have the dates, early November. Want to make sure that you all know about that. It's going to be a great show. They got a bunch of hitters. Let me just pull up I should have been prepared, y'all. I'm not prepared. This is a B. Anyway, November 6th through 9th. And the 6th is a Thursday, and that's mainly for artists to just kick it. But, it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's going to be a killer. Tim Lehigh, okay? Mike Schweigert. Annette LaRue from Electromagnetic. Her husband, Steve Tiberi. Our very own Porter and Jake will be there. My dog, Nate Harmon, Maniac, he'll be there. Let me see here. Where all my homies at? The homie Walker, Cohen. Anyway, a lot of, big dogs. A lot of fucking great tattooers, a lot of great friends. It's going to be it's going to be fun. Eric Perfect going to be there running his mouth. I'm not going to keep reading from the list, but you get the point. It's all homies, and it's a lot of fun. And JD Crow puts on a great show, and we're proud to be affiliated. And so that's coming up 6th through 9th of November. As I mentioned last week, we are putting on the first, not the first annual. We haven't done it in a year yet. I think that's how that works. The first Alley Cat Tattoo presents Shenandoah Rose. Could be No Lies, Just Bullshit presents. It's definitely Nick presents Shenandoah Rose, which is a mini convention we'll be having here at Alley Cat Tattoo, celebrating 25 years of Alley Cat. And it's going to be exciting. And in the coming months, we'll be coming up with exact dates, which I think I have clued in. I just don't want to say it quite yet, but exact dates, artist roster, maybe even some artwork coming out. Very excited. Put it on your calendar for early August 2026. So this is how it works. If you've never been on No Lies, Just Bullshit, this is how it works. I say, hey, you want to do No Lies, Just Bullshit? And you say, yeah. I say, all right, cool. I'm coming to this convention. You're going to be around? Yeah, I'll be there. All right, what day works best for you? Okay, cool. You want to do 6:30? Yeah, we'll do 6:30. And that's how we do it. As simple as that. I always got to recheck my messages and get everything. And I don't have cameras and lighting and fucking laptops and goddamn shit to plug in and all this other stuff. I have a small recording device that records in stereo, records the whole room. And I'm sure you can tell by the premium quality over the years. So sometimes I stop them a little prematurely, and I'm guilty of that in the case of Sam Yamini. We had a great conversation. It felt like it was sort of wrapping up, and it felt like the time to sort of just come to an end. And as soon as we finished our conversation, Sam's an easy guy to talk to, and we have a good rapport. So almost immediately we just kind of picked up, and almost always when that happens, we kind of talk about something that we shouldn't touch on or didn't touch on in the show. And in this case, it really wasn't that. So he was like, man, I wouldn't mind including that. I said, hold that thought. Turned on the machine, started recording again. And then my brother, I gave him the device, and he took the files off, and that was that. And I never told him, there's Sam's, and then there's another 25 minutes of me talking to Sam right after that. I never relayed that to him for any number of reasons, but we're both busy. And so once I realized it, I thought, well, I don't want to just put that out as an episode, so we'll put out a part B. This is the entire podcast plus the extra 25 minutes. So, if you don't want to listen to the whole thing again, I understand. You can just fast forward. But if you do, or if you missed the original release, then I would just check this one out and listen to this one, and you can have the full conversation. Thank you again to Sam. Thank you to Jay Smalley and Angela Miller and Jimmy P. Thank you to Dean Fleischman, a.k.a. Dean Flashman. All these episodes from Pagoda are some of my favorite ones, and all with people I really respect and that do tattoos I like, and feeling blessed, guys. Feeling really good about the show and the shop and all you guys, and just humble and grateful, and I appreciate everyone's support, and I appreciate everyone tuning in to check this out. And like I said, this is the remainder of Sam's episode. I say listen to the whole thing again, but also you can go the last 25 minutes included. We'll be seeing you. No Lies, Just Bullshit, Sam Part B.
Who could relate? We play for high stakes at gunpoint, catch 'em and break, undress 'em time with tape, no escape. The Coleon, Fettuccine, Capone, home in your own zone, or get kidnapped and clapped in your dome. We got it sewn. The firm are the wars unknown. Lower your tone, face it. Homicide cases get thrown. Aristocrats, politic and deli with diplomats. To me, I'm an official Mac Lex Coupe, triple black.
Criminal thoughts in the reports. My destiny's to be the newborn. A nigga poorly gotta die too short. That nigga's dead on. That Kia Heron. They found his head on the couch with his dick in his mouth. I put the hit out. Yo, the smoothest.
That's kind of the way I like doing stuff. It's a good way to keep moving, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it kind of prompts things too.
Correct.
Things just come up through it.
How old are you?
I'm 44.
44. I'm 3. I just turned 47 in June.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is like super far south in the state.
Yeah.
It's like 40 miles from Juarez, like the Texas border.
Yeah.
It's right there. So it's border
Oh.
town, desert.
I don't know exactly how far it is, but like I love like the West and the Billy the Kid stories and all that shit. I love that stuff, and that's a lot of New Mexico, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. Right next to Las Cruces, there's a little town called Mesilla. And it's pretty much same city, it's just called the town of Mesilla. And there's like a bunch of, there was a courthouse where Billy the Kid was tried there, and a lot of that stuff took place in that area. So you go in there and there's like plaques and all the historical stuff that says this happened here and whatever.
There's a podcast called Wild West Extravaganza, and it's just like I would tell the timeline of a or we would talk and you would tell me. He's telling the timeline of historic figures, so he'll pick an outlaw and just name this and born on this day, and he'll just tell their life story.
I love that.
It's super informative. It's just it's just a series of information and stories, but I love it. I listen to that shit a lot.
Yeah, that's super cool.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, have you listened to Cocaine and Rhinestones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's just so
What do you
great.
think about season 2?
I haven't listened to it. I didn't know there was a season 2.
Or season 1 rules.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Season 2. Do you know who the dude is? It's David Allen Coates.
Yeah.
You can tell he's an eccentric in the way he talks.
Right.
And he has another podcast called Your Favorite Band Sucks.
Okay.
And him and his buddy they just name every band under the sun and talk about why they're terrible. Which I don't love it. Sarah loves that one. It kind of, I ain't got no room. I want to hear why something's great.
Same.
And I understand why people like that, because it feeds the idea that they can talk shit. Sarah hates the Beatles and she wants to tell me why they're terrible. She can listen to that first.
Right.
But the second season of Cocaine and Rhinestones, he like the later part of the first season, he would tell a story that was kind of not related to bring it into. Well, in the season 2, it's every episode is about George Jones and Tammy Wynette. But the first episode is like 30 minutes on pinball machines. And then the next one is like 30 minutes on bullfighting.
Right.
And then the next one's like 30 minutes on this Prince of Spain.
Does it feel like he's grasping at content or something?
It just doesn't feel relevant to George Jones.
Sure.
But he's a great storyteller, and his voice is odd, and I like eccentric people. So it didn't really bother me. I don't care to hear something about I wouldn't seek out information about a pinball machine, but I'm also curious to hear if he's going to share that.
Weird random knowledge is always fascinating.
Correct.
Yeah.
But a lot of people fucking hate it.
Yeah.
That's why I asked if you like second season, because so many people are just like, this is trash.
Yeah.
But man, the stories are interesting, and country folks and southern people tell stories, and that's why I tell stories. That's why I do what I do, and I love it.
Right. Yeah. Same.
So what was going on in New Mexico? Your parents from there?
No, my mom is from Philadelphia originally, and my dad is from Dallas. and they met in chiropractic school.
Okay.
Pretty interesting, actually. They met in school, and then we're kind of together, and then they split up. My mom had moved on. My dad got with another woman, and I was born. And this other woman that I call my bio mom, she's my biological mother, but she didn't raise me. She was not stable, so she was deemed unfit in court, and my dad got full custody. And then he approached the woman I refer to as my mom to see if she would be interested in helping him to raise me.
Who he was originally with, anyway.
Yeah, they were.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
Cause you have your mom kind of chose to be your mom. That's
She did.
dope.
Yeah, it's so dope.
Yeah.
She's amazing. I'm so grateful that she did.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, because I can't imagine who I would be or what my life would be like if my biological mother was the person who raised me. She was.
Yeah.
Do
you ever know her? Did you ever talk to her?
No, she sends me stuff in the mail sometimes to the tattoo shop, but that's really it.
You just kind of leave it alone?
Yeah, I tried to have a relationship with her when I moved from New Mexico to Dallas, where the rest of my family was, when I was 18, 19, and she lived there at the time. And I was like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's an age where you might want to. You might not see the harm it would do to your family, and you might want to just do it because you think you're becoming independent, you're becoming a man.
Right.
I thought differently at 18 than I do now.
Yeah, same. But in the first time I sat down with her, she told me that God doesn't want people like me because I have tattoos. But she didn't refer to the tattoo. She just said that to my face. And so then, the next time I tried to hang out with her, I tried to set a boundary. I was like, listen, I'm grown. You know what I mean? I respect your views, but if you can't accept me for who I am and not antagonize me over it, then we're not going to be able to have a relationship.
Yeah.
She was like, okay. And then I went over on Thanksgiving Day. She's like, come over, my brother's gonna come and all this stuff. So I go over, she's like, all right, we're gonna say grace. And I start to say, I'm bowing my head, I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
So I'm just being courteous, and I feel something wet on my head. And I look up and she's got this jar of holy water and she's sprinkling it on me.
On just you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And at that point I was just like, all right. That's it. It's I tried to communicate with you about, not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm willing to try to have a relationship, but.
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I've got parents. I don't, you know what I mean? That was about me trying to have sympathy for her and.
Well, it's also interesting, to look at someone and maybe you see yourself in them. It's interesting if she has family for you to know them and see if you're similar. All those things are interesting for us as human beings, but you can't just let somebody have their way with you.
No.
Just treat you however they. So she's just extreme religious.
Yeah, very Catholic.
Gotcha.
Yeah. After I moved to Denver a couple years after, I got this letter in the mail, and it was this rambling, typed out 4-page thing that just started with can't remember. It said the Harry Potterism's lifestyle is the gateway to the lake of fire. That was the opening sentence on this letter.
And then I'm not out here performing fucking.
I was just like, wow, this is crazy. So I read through it, and then basically the gist of the whole thing was that she was trying to say that she would pay for me to have all my tattoos removed if I would join the seminary school.
What?
Yeah.
It's wild, bro.
Yeah, and at this point I'm
shit you could say to her.
Yeah.
It seems like you've been a nice guy throughout this. You can say wild shit to her.
Uh-huh.
What the fuck you been?
Yeah. What's wrong with you? Why you had a child?
Yeah. How come the judge wouldn't let you look after me? Crazy bitch.
Yeah. And I mean that went down in Kansas City, Missouri in 1983.
Yeah.
She was deemed unfit so you can imagine how drastic it would need to be for at that time in that place for a judge to take a child from their mother.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I feel bad for her. You know what I mean? I want to. just out of the kindness of my heart, like, you know, reach out to her and stuff. But it's like, I don't feel like it's not something that I need. Again, it would be for her.
Sure.
You know, and
I mean, she's defining you by something that doesn't define you.
yeah.
You know, like we all have tattoos, but we're individuals. You love tattoos, you indulge in tattoos, and that's the thing for you. But it doesn't. I don't know about you. I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it's not the only thing that defines me.
No, 100%.
My family, my friends, you know, the things that I love are tattoos, tattoos, and this business is a huge, huge part of it. But it's not everything, you know what I mean? And it definitely doesn't make me good or bad, you know? It doesn't make any of us good or bad.
100%.
Man, that's wild. So you said when you were 18, so you were already tattooed at that point?
Yeah.
When did you first start getting tattooed?
I got first tattoo when I was 17. Yeah, I got the original Krylon spray paint logo in between my shoulders.
Yeah? Sick.
Yeah.
Big graffiti writer back in the day? That's big in like Arizona and New Mexico, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But that was like the 90s, you know. That was kind of the beginning of my mentality to just live outside the box, you know. Punk rock, skateboarding, hip hop led me into graffiti, you know, and it's like, it's a lot like tattooing, you know, like-minded individuals living outside of, you know, the bounds of what normal society thinks is right, you know, working towards a common goal, you know, pushing each other, being competitive.
Did you listen to Mario's episode?
Yeah.
I didn't know he did time for graffiti.
Yeah.
It's wild. And he didn't give a fuck. He's like, I'll do the time. I'm not fucking sorry.
Man, when you're looking at 5 years on paper or 1 month in jail, sometimes it's an easy choice.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, do I want to not be able to leave the state and have to do, you know, piss tests and all the things? It's like, I'll sit for 30 days instead of having to deal with that for 5 years.
I always thought graffiti was dope because it was an element of hip hop, but I never got deep into it. Yeah. Friends of mine were doing stuff. I had one friend who would do, you know, his tag, and then another friend who would always do an image with it. Like he didn't have a word tag. He would just do characters and stuff. And it was always dope. Real cool shit. So, who did your first tattoo?
His name was Blue. Yeah.
My boy Blue.
Yeah, he was my boy. He's this nomad biker dude that came through my hometown, and I worked in a head shop at the time.
All right.
So, because of graffiti and stuff, I never wanted to work a normal job. You know, when you get out of high school, it's like, what do you do? Right? Yeah. So I started going to college just because trying to move forward.
Right.
You know?
I'm sure your parents was like, thought that's something.
Yeah. But I hated it. You know, I've been over school. I didn't want to keep going to school. Yeah. You know, and while I was there, I'd met this guy who had moved to my hometown to open a head shop. And I was like, let me paint a mural on the inside of your shop. Yeah. You know, so I was in there before they were open, patching holes in the walls and, you know, painting. And while I was doing that, he was building a glass blowing studio. So he made the glass pipes to sell in the store. And so during that whole process, I saw him start to blow glass, and my mind was blown. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. You know, get to make weed pipes?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Were you a big stoner as a kid?
Yeah. And so I asked him if he'd teach me to blow glass. He was like, yeah, I need an apprentice, you know what I mean? Here's the deal. So I started doing that. And then, you know, once the shop got busy enough, I was working working the counter in the head shop and going to college.
So were you all making the pieces to sell in the store? Mm-hmm. That's not a common thing, right?
No.
Yeah, it's like higher level shit.
Yeah, especially back then.
Yeah.
You know, glass blowing was very limited in what was available and accomplishable, color palette and all that. But no one ever saw it, so it was a big draw for the store. We could do customs, you know what I mean? People come in, they're like, oh, I want this color or this shape or whatever. We'd make it for them, you know?
Fucking dope.
Yeah, it was tight. And so I was doing that, and this guy comes in his shop, and, you know, his truck broke down. You know, he'd been passing through town. He had this tow behind trailer, did tattoos. He was like, you know, just checking it out. And so I convinced the boss to let him tattoo out of this, like, empty room in the back. Yeah. You know, so he could make his money and move on. Yeah. You know, kick down to the shop or whatever. I got a tattoo from him, and then, you know, the boss quickly recognized the monetary benefits of having the tattooing there. So Blue ended up staying around You know, I got my first tattoo. I got a few tattoos from him.
Was he a decent tattooer?
For the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the time. Old school biker shit.
Yeah.
You know, 3 rounds, 7 rounds.
Sure.
That's it. You know, come from the school of thought where, you know, most tattoos are, you know, the size of a racquetball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't do a ton of big things. He did some bigger stuff, you know, but you don't need big mags and all this,
Sure.
you know, variety. It was just, you know, doing little stuff.
You don't have to respond, or we don't have to go into this if you want to, but I'm always curious about family.
Mm-hmm.
And both your parents are physicians,
Mm-hmm.
and you're working, you're a graffiti kid, stoner, working at a head shop, hanging out with an old biker.
Yeah.
How stoked are they?
You know, they were supportive.
That's pretty.
Yeah, they were
cool.
pretty supportive. My mom really questioned what I I was doing and encouraged me to stay in school.
Because I'm sure she was worried. Not that she didn't trust you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just it's not outside the bounds of, like you said, of normal society, so she doesn't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
But she was like, okay, like, that's what you want to do, you know?
That's fucking cool. That's surprising.
Yeah, it was cool. My dad was into it. You know,
Oh,
he
yeah?
always supported my artistic endeavors and, you know,
So
until...
you got a hippie vibe or anything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Real hippie vibe. I had a sweat lodge in my backyard when I was growing up.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's really hippie vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was rad. He was a cool dude, for sure.
That's great, man.
Yeah, he just passed away in May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm sorry to hear that. But, man, you know, most of the people that sit here and tell me these stories are like, you know, didn't get along with their parents, didn't get along with their teachers, punk rock ruled, fuck everybody kind of shit. And I never really had that. My mom and I don't get along great, but I never had this, like, fuck my family attitude ever.
Right.
So when someone's like, yeah, my dad was super fucking cool, I love hearing that.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, because what are you going to do? You try to control somebody?
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. Better off letting them figure some shit out, you know?
100%. He was really good at that, letting me do my own thing and trying to set boundaries. Like, you know, it's all right if you want to do this, but if you cross this line, these are the consequences.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. That was great. So yeah, they were pretty cool, all in all. You know,
Yeah,
I think my mom definitely questioned it more than my dad did.
So, and again, I don't want to get too personal if you don't want to. Did they raise you together in one household?
So they got divorced when I was 8, and you
So
know,
for 8 years it was 3 of you kind of deal?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you know, so I'd go back and forth after
like,
that.
Pretty common with divorced parents. But your mom stuck with it. It was never like walking away.
No,
That you're her boy.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, it really is. Yeah,
So did old Blue teach you the fucking ropes?
he did. He got me. He got me started. You know what I mean? I'll say
I had a
that.
lot of jobs outside of this alternative world.
No,
That's
just a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at like a greenhouse. I worked at Sonic.
The greenhouse still has hippie stoner vibes.
Yeah, one of my dad's friends was like, he had a reforestation business, so they would grow trees to a certain height, small enough that they could still ship them, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and, you know, take them to South America or whatever, and,
Wow.
you know, try to repopulate trees and
Yeah.
after fires or deforestation and stuff like that. So he gave me a job, which was great. You know, it's good to make money, but it was like I was by myself all the time. You know, I could only work on the weekends, so the normal staff wasn't there. You know, because I'm going to
For a
school.
young kid, you want to be goofing off with other people.
Exactly. So I got a job at Sonic. I worked there for a while. That was great. You know, super fun.
Yeah.
You know, just fucking off.
I think everybody should work some kind of restaurant or fast food or
Yeah.
something
Yeah, I
as a
agree.
young person, because it you know, it teaches you to rely on other people and to be relied on when you're in the fucking weeds when it's busy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of just silliness and people goofing off, you know. I met
Yep.
some hilarious motherfuckers working at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
Hardee's, I don't know if they have it out west, but Hardee's. It's Carl's Jr. out there. I think.
Right.
Yeah, I work at Hardee's and Pizza Hut, bro. We had a fucking time of our
It was
lives.
the best.
Yeah.
You feel good. You're making some money. You know,
Yeah.
you get that $200 paycheck at the end of the 2 weeks, and you're like, I'm rolling out.
Yeah, bro. Taking trash out, hit a bowl.
Yep.
Fucking right.
Yep. Yeah, and then I went to Walmart, and that was it. That was the last job.
And that was, you were still super young?
Yeah, 17.
Wow. That's dope, man. So you went to Blue, and so did your boss say, why don't you just stay here and operate out of my building?
It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a conversation like,
Once Blue saw there's clientele, he
yeah, it just got busier and busier, and
Yeah.
we made more space, and, you know.
Yeah.
just did it. And so I just asked him because I was, there all the time, and he was there. I was like,
he kind of owed you too, like you got him in.
Yeah. Will you teach me? And so he taught me, and his knowledge was limited. We'll just say that, right?
Sure.
He taught me what he could, He taught me a lot of really cool things that I wouldn't have learned, I don't think, even in a traditional apprenticeship. Like, we didn't get many supplies from a tattoo supply company. We got pigment, we got needles from Scientific Supply, pins, entomology pins.
Yeah.
We didn't buy them from National or whatever. They came from outside of the tattoo industry.
Yeah.
We got ink caps at AutoZone. We made our own power supplies and clip cords. We sterilized in like a pressure cooker on a hot plate from Walmart.
If you ever go to prison, you're solid.
I'm saying, like, these days it's a rare skill set. Like, I've got the resources to be able to acquire most of what I need for tattooing without a tattoo supply company.
You're not an old guy, so there's old guys in this business that would look at you and say, you don't know shit about building needles, and you're gonna be like, wrong motherfucker.
Yeah, I built them all.
Yeah.
We got the needle bars at Welding Supply, stainless steel welding bar.
Yeah.
Cut them, bend them, the whole thing. Made everything from scratch.
That's so much different than most people.
Yeah.
I mean, you say you're 43?
44.
44. I'm 47, and when I started hanging around Andrew Connor, him and Mark Bell, who's here this weekend, were building needles pretty regularly. But within 2 years of that, people were buying needles, just getting them.
Yeah.
Companies here were getting them in bulk from China, and just everyone's using these needles. It's just like, it kind of just, so everyone, not everyone that learned from then on, but most everyone that learned from then on, was just using prepackaged needles.
Yeah. Why
it's incredibly
what do you need it
convenient.
for? Yeah, super convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that shit became affordable, because it was available not long after that, but it was cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
It was like tattoos were $40. You know what I mean? So when you're spending $4 or $5 on a needle, it's like
no margin there.
Yeah, especially if you're splitting it with the shop or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really make sense. So making them, they're still pennies on the dollar. You just got to put the effort in.
Correct.
But
then there's time involved too.
Yeah.
Which is a factor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. You don't hear that a lot. And not only that, but most people would get their needles through National and everything through the traditional means. The fact that he sourced it through anywhere, just because that's probably how he figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, or the guy that taught him. I don't know. He told me some stuff about his lineage back then, but I didn't care enough at the time to really retain it.
Sure.
And I didn't work with them for a super long time, so.
Was he a good dude, just a biker guy, or?
Yeah, he was good. Good-hearted, sweet.
Yeah, good.
He didn't give me a lot of boundaries when it came to learning, which, can be good and bad.
Sure.
He'd be like, I'd be like, can I do it like this? And he's like, sure, give it a shot,
Did
Shit
you
like
tattoo
that.
yourself first, or him, or he tell you to bring a buddy in?
Yeah, I just started tattooing my friends.
Yeah.
Being my hometown, I was big in the graffiti scene. Everyone knew that I did art and, worked in the head shop. And
then once you write their name graffiti, you do it on their leg.
Yeah, all that stuff.
So how long did you...
That's Wrath. He told me to tell you hi, by the way.
Take off? You do
No. He's just letting me know that the raw power is live. Gotta get that ink.
You tattooing your homies, how long did that go on?
I stayed.
Did you work there? It's like a regular, I'm a guy who takes walk-ins here?
Yeah, for a little while, but I quickly kind of realized that I needed to get around people who knew more, kind of broaden my horizons.
Were you seeing the type of tattoos that you wanted to aspire to do, or in magazines or anything, or you just kind of...
I didn't really know what I wanted to do, because there wasn't very much structure in the way that I learned. It was really a free-for-all,
So you weren't focusing on graffiti-style tattoos? You were just doing anything that people asked for?
Yeah.
I mean,
tribal.
Which is kind of good at a young age. You don't want to be like, I'm just out of my apprenticeship and I only do, stipple black and gray that's fucking, $50 size. You don't want to do that because then you don't know shit about tattooing in the big picture. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that wasn't even really an option back then.
Of course, but just as an example of you see these motherfuckers who are like, doing hand poke tattoos by appointment only. And that's all they fucking do.
And only been tattooing for a year.
Right. And you're like, oh, well, that's all you can do, motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Because that or you got a day job and you're just doing it in your free time.
But it's no good to just be fresh out the gate and say, well, I do one thing.
Right.
You know, like the tattoo shop that I came up around before we opened Alley Cat was Ancient Art, Danny Fowler's shop. And I'm sure you're familiar with Danny and the Time Machine and all that shit. And he wanted, like, everything that came in, if it wasn't lettering or tribal, you did the whole tattoo in black and gray, but then you added color to it. And so in that case, everything looked like a fucking sticker.
Right.
It was a big wow factor for clients to see all these tattoos that sort of had depth to them, that had shading. Obviously, you weren't putting a ton of shading like behind the yellow or something, but you know, everything had like a little bit more to it than just a flat palette. And everyone tattooed that way, and there was no exceptions. Even the older guys, it's like they had one guy who only did black and gray. His name was Eddie Geary, and he was great. And he, matter of fact, he did a heart in the middle of my chest. And every great tattooer that ever sees me with a shirt off is like, who did that? It's a piece of Jack Rudy Flash, and I got it when I was fucking 19, and to this day, motherfuckers like, who did that?
Yeah.
He just had a knack for it. But everybody else there had to do this formula for tattooing, and it ended up sort of making a bunch of well-rounded tattooers. They understood more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of standard, you know, and guidance, and you know, that kind of thing, I knew I was lacking.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't say it was a conscious thought, you know what I mean? But I was like, I need more from this. You know, I need to do more. This whole time I've still been blowing glass, right? Tattoo business wasn't so big that I could just do it.
Sure.
You know, it was like tattoo, and when there wasn't any tattoos to do, I could pop into the glass blowing studio and make pipes and, you know, keep working and make money that way.
Did you have a preferred method of making money?
You know, they both have their benefits and their drawbacks. Yeah. You know, at the time, it's like glass is individual. You know, like do whatever you want. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's no constraint. There's no client to please. You know, and back then there wasn't a ton of real custom, you know, artistically motivating work to do. You know, people came in, they picked stuff off the wall. It was fun. You know what I mean? And when I got a chance to draw something myself, I was excited to do it. Yeah. You know, but with glass, it's like you could do it any time of the day. You know, you don't need anyone to show up or be there. You know what I mean?
And if you make something you think is ill, there's a good chance someone else will be like, oh shit, and they'll pay the fucking $80 as opposed to the $35 piece that's pretty lame.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, that kind of back and forth with glass and tattooing carried on for a long time. I moved to Dallas, you know, to try to find more, right? In every way, really. You know, I mean, I wanted a bigger city to paint graffiti in. Right. You know, bigger city to do more tattoos in, meet people, all the shit.
All that stuff.
You know, Las Cruces is great, but there's not a ton going on there.
Right.
You know, it's really mellow and low key. People, people have a bunch of kids and, you know, get a regular job and stay there, and their family just does that forever.
Which is great.
Yeah, tons of Mexican.
The best.
The best Mexican food. Yeah. Oh, shit. And that just wasn't for me. I wanted to go on and do bigger things or whatever.
Did you show up in Dallas with you know, an innocent dream and heart of gold and say, how the fuck am I going to find a tattoo shop with a glass blower studio next door? How's that work?
So I had been going there to paint graffiti. I travel.
How far was it?
It's about 10 hours, 10 and a half hours from Las Cruces to Dallas. No, I drove.
You were driving?
Yeah, I would drive. I got a car that was reliable enough, and I was like, I'm doing it. Let's go. So I started road tripping to Dallas.
That's a serious road trip.
To paint.
Did you do it straight through usually?
Yeah.
You're an animal.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you're
young, you don't give a fuck. I've always hated driving. Always hated driving.
Yeah. You know, I like road tripping by myself. It's cathartic, clears my head. Sure. Gives me a chance to just think or listen to music and zone out and whatever, you know. And just the feeling of freedom at that age should be like, well, I'm going to go be away from all the structure and, you know, constraints that I put upon myself or were put upon me, and you just leave it behind and, like, you know that.
You're a hippie at heart, so you are. You're a hippie with a haircut, so you are.
If I had hair to cut.
But no, I get it. Sometimes when you're, you know, like, this guy taught you how to blow glass and this guy taught you how to tattoo, So you have to kind of be within the parameters of what they expect of you.
Yeah.
As a young man, I understand the desire to be like, I want to step outside of any expectation except my own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're going there, you're painting, you're meeting graffiti people?
Yeah, graffiti people. And so what I would do is I'd make a case of glass, go to Dallas, go around all the head shops, hustle it off, pay for the trip, you know, paint some graffiti, hang out with some friends. You know, you make a lot of friends through graffiti. You know, it's like just like tattooers.
See, I think of it as territorial. Like they might not want you there.
Yeah.
Is that a thing or no?
Not within a crew,
Yeah.
right? It's like having friends at a shop.
Right.
You're always welcome at the shop. You
Gotcha.
can go there. But then if you're
So you meet
associated with that
somebody-
shop, the other shop might not like you.
So you meet
know?
somebody that's in a crew and they introduce you to their friends and so on.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah. So when I moved to Dallas, I just got a glass blowing studio in my neighborhood, and I did that for money, and then I just tattooed out of the apartment. Clients with the graffiti guys and stuff like that, you know. And after a while, kind of start catching the good and bad attention of the tattooers in town. They're like, "Oh, that kid's tattooing out of his apartment. That's bullshit," which I understand, you know. But I was just making it work.
I tell young kids, I'm like, don't be doing that shit.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, they don't give a fuck what I say.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would never do, and I don't think any fucking decent person should do, is call the cops on any of these kids
No.
that are scratching or whatever. You know, because if they never have any guidance and they don't have any health standards, something's gonna catch up to them anyway.
Right.
But I just don't believe in calling the cops for any good reason.
Yeah.
There is no good reason.
Absolutely not. Don't call the cops unless you absolutely have to. That's,
Yeah.
It's just
If somebody shoots your neighbor, call the cops. Short of that, fucking mind your own business.
goddamn right. But I felt like, you know, to that point, I felt like I had enough training. You know, Blue is super clean. That was one of his big things. You know what I mean? We never reused anything. You know, even the rubber bands on the machine.
See, the first couple times Andy tattooed me, he had a fucking, like a rack of test tubes with fucking needles in the bottom. There'd be a piece of cotton with witch hazel.
Right.
And they'd use them. They said they didn't even work good until they were 5 or 6 tattoos old. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue was not like that. You could keep the needle for the same client.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you take it out of the tube, clean it. You know, we would even sterilize it in the pressure cooker, and
just
you
let it
put it in a pouch and put someone's name on it. If it's not done, or you know they're going to come back, then you have their needle. You don't have to make a new one. You know what I mean? But we didn't. He was very strict about hygiene. Yeah. So you know, I was tattooing on my apartment, and no, the tattoos weren't good.
Were you getting tattooed by other folks in Dallas yet?
No, not really. I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
You know, I was just getting by. I just wanted to be a hood rat. Do hood rat shit with my friends. You know, that was the whole point. You know what I mean? It was just run around, do what I got to do to make the money I need to survive, paint graffiti, have fun. That was it at the time. You know, I didn't have any aspirations. I was just moving through it one day at a time as it presented itself to me. You know,
And how long did you do that?
it's a few years.
It just, like I said, we know each other, we don't know each other. That doesn't seem like your nature.
Right.
You seem focused. You seem like you have. Maybe you've changed a ton. Like I said, I've changed a ton since I was 18. But to hear you describe that, it's like, it's just wanting to fuck off. It doesn't seem like it goes, because like the type of tattooing that you do requires a lot of discipline. Yeah. And so I guess that's the impression I have of you. And that doesn't coincide with that.
I've always had a super good work ethic.
Yeah.
But at the age and with the resources available to you, there's only so far you can go with it. You know what I mean? So I worked hard, but still wasn't making a lot of money. You know what I mean? And
Somebody's showing you shit.
Yeah.
You gotta be around inspiration.
Yeah, there was nobody being like, you're not doing this right, or you're not working hard enough, or you need to change. You know, that I didn't have any of that. I was just
Watching someone do a tattoo can change the game for you.
100%.
You know, they might even have to watch you and tell you you're doing something wrong. You might watch them and a light goes off, and you're like, oh fuck, why not? You know, what am I doing? You know. Yeah, that's super important. I always, I have a lot of friends who tattoo privately. And I'm always like, man, are you getting inspired? Are you getting the right juice? You know?
Yeah.
I worry about it.
Yeah, same. I've considered private studio quite a bit, you know, but just because of the nature of the work, and it's nice when it's mellow and stuff. You know, the shop where I work's it's busy. There's a lot going on all the time.
Yeah.
You know. But then
Are you able to have something adjacent to it that just serve your clients or not?
I guess I could figure that out.
Yeah.
But when I'm in the shop by myself, you know, if everyone's in the back room fucking off, no one else is tattooing, I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, this is not that fun. I mean, I love tattooing and I always have a good time with my clients, but the shop environment is huge for me.
Yeah. Like, I always reference Andrew because he's just a good example in a lot of ways, but, you know, he kind of does his own thing in the middle of a super busy street shop.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you do the same thing as well. Like, he just, you know, he structures his day and structures his week and his month and his year and all that to however he's feeling, what he wants to do.
Yep.
But his station is right next to all the guys that are taking walk-ins and all the guys that are having appointments. And he wants that around him. He wants to see that, smell that, feel that.
Yep.
But do things at his pace. And sometimes there's a fucking overlap, you know what I mean? Do you need a drink?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do another one.
Sometimes there's an overlap. Someone sees his shit and they're blown away and they want like, well, I really want him to do my 100 move chandelier. And that's not his thing.
Yeah.
But he'll be like, oh, whatever. You know, he'll do it from time to time.
Yeah, I love that. I was just talking to somebody about it last night about like, you know, my work's primarily large scale Japanese inspired,
Yeah.
you know, and I love that. It's what I've worked towards accomplishing for a long time.
Yeah.
But I have generational clients. You know, I have people bring their kids in for their first tattoo. I have people bring
Andrew
their
the granddaughter.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He's got his 30 years too.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we first moved to Harrisburg, he tattooed the lady. 4 or 5 years later, her daughter was 18. She got tattooed. And now her daughter just turned 18 and been tattooed 2 or 3 times.
So when I do get the opportunity to do that stuff, I'm always pumped about it. You know?
If you don't mind, I'm bouncing a little bit.
Yeah.
We can go back to the timeline in a minute, but how long have you been predominantly doing large-scale Japanese?
I'd say 2018 is when it kind of tipped.
Yeah.
You know, and there was
So
still
that's a long
some,
time.
you know, there's still some other stuff in there. 2018 to 2019 is when it really kind of solidified into exclusively that.
How difficult is that to maintain? Like, how do you? I talked to Chris Welk about this a bunch. How do you cultivate clients that? Because ideally for you, correct me if I'm wrong, you want your guy to walk in no tattoos,
Yeah, of course, that's
and
the
you
dream.
want him to get a suit.
Right.
That's the goal. That's how you achieve the most out of what fuels you and what you want to do to serve tattooing the most. That's your calling, is Japanese large scale. So ideally is a no cover up suit. Is that correct?
Yes.
How do you find that guy?
They find you.
They find you.
Yeah.
They find you for a suit, or they find you and they want a sleeve.
It happens in different ways.
Because Chris was like, you know, Chris was like, did you listen to his episode?
Yeah.
Man, he's a sharp kid.
Yeah, yes.
I like that dude a
Yeah,
lot.
Chris is great.
And he's a great tattooer. I learned so much from that episode. And the first thing he said was like, I love traditional American tattoos, but I couldn't really do them that well. So that's how I define the style of Japanese I would do, because they're heavy.
Right.
I just thought that was brilliant. I don't know why I didn't see that prior. But he was like, you know, if someone comes in and is interested in a half sleeve, I immediately start talking to them about the full sleeve aesthetic. And if they come in talking about a full sleeve, I immediately bring up the full sleeve chest panel aesthetic.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So you
It's-
serve their request, but say you're constantly reminding them, if I were to bring it to here.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Expand on that if you don't mind.
So, you know, to answer your question, how do you find the person and they find you? They come in with their idea,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, size, placement, stuff like that. And every consultation, I'm like, you know, tell me what you want. And it just naturally evolves into, well, what do you think about doing on your other arm? You know, what are your plans for the future? You know, because
But how often do you get, I hadn't considered that, or I not even think.
most of the time,
Really?
yeah, most of the time,
I find this fascinating that
Yeah.
that person may end up with a suit. I
yeah.
love it.
It evolves, you know. I've only had one person come in and say, I want to get a suit out of the gate. That was the whole goal.
Sure.
You know.
Are you just giddy?
Yeah.
Like being so excited, right?
So excited.
Did he or she? Did he have I want a Fudo back, I want a dragon front, or he just said, I want a Japanese suit, what do you think?
Yeah, he was just like, I want to get a suit and you can do whatever you want.
What'd you do?
Well, he disappeared.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So when people don't know what they want, you know, and they like say, I want it back, my first go-to is like the, you know, guardian deities. Like, what year were you born?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a good deity on the back is always a great place to start. You know,
Yeah.
it's powerful. It's in alignment with when you were born.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I show him some images of that. You know, what do you think about this? You know, this is, you know, your guardian, or, you know, I'm drawing a blank for the word. Anyway.
Protector or some sort of like...
Right, and then all those images have animals associated with them, flowers, ancillary imagery that can break off into all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I did that with him, and he was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. You know, and it was like Manju Bosatsu, so it's like, you know, a deity on an elephant holding a lotus, you know, and a sword.
Yeah.
And then Bodhisattva is all about the Lotus Sutra. Mm-hmm. So I was like, we'll just do water and lotuses on the whole rest of your body. Right?
Yeah.
So fucking excited.
Yeah.
You know? And he was into it, and he had a good job, time, whatever. So we outlined his back, one of his legs, one of his arms, and then I never saw him again.
Damn, that's rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, the prospect's exciting. Even going through the process, you probably learned something.
100%.
And you know, and I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and I a light bulb went off in my head. And I went, I know how to sell tattoos. I've sold 1,000 fucking tattoos to people. It's the same thing. It's just a different sales pitch.
Right.
It's the same thing. You're selling them a tattoo, just like I've sold a girl who wanted something for her grandma, a rolling pin or a frying pan instead of a fucking tombstone looking thing, or, you know, just a flower.
Yeah.
You know, that's dope, man.
Yeah. Same thing, larger scale. Got to have a little bit more of a mind for the future, you know, especially when they only want a sleeve. You know, I always have the conversation with them about, I'm always planning for this to expand, you know, so it needs to be executed in this way. And I explain to them the choices that they're making and how that will dictate future tattoos should they choose to get more.
Yeah.
I always, you know, leave it in their court. It's like, you know, if you're
implying.
Yeah, if you want cherry blossoms on this arm, and should you want to get your other arm tattooed later, you know, I'm going to want to put cherry blossoms on that arm, because if you get the other arm, there's a high probability you're going to want to get more.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're going to end up moving towards a whole bodysuit, not saying that you do, but if you do,
But if we get there,
it should be cohesive for these reasons.
Yeah.
You know? And I explained to them all the reasons, you know, seasons and this and that.
So, explain to me how you got from tattooing out of your house in Dallas to even knowing, if I tell you I'm born in 1978, you're going to tell me whatever my deity is.
Right.
That's a long way. That takes a ton of work. That takes a massive amount of studying.
Mm-hmm.
That is sacrificing personal relationships, friends, family, girl, all that stuff to get to that.
Right.
Let's talk about how you got there, if you don't mind. I'm very much excited to have this conversation because so many people that I talk to are just doing anything that comes in the door, plus, you know, knocking out big stuff when it comes. But your trajectory has gotten you to where big is the fucking game.
Right.
And I just love it. It's just different. Most people, I've had people on that do it. Like, we had Chris Magnotti on, and as you know, amazing stories,
Dude.
Amazing guy. He's so sweet. I saw him yesterday, and he's lit up. Same thing today. But, you know, how he got here is more of a tale of life than tattooing. So when you guys finished, I don't know if you recall me saying, next time I just want to talk about your point of view of Japanese tattooing. And he went, that's 5 podcasts. And I'm like, that's fine. we can do a series. But so that's kind of, you know, what I'm interested in from you.
Okay, so I worked at a few different street shops in Dallas. You know, working my way up the ranks of Dallas tattooers. You know, working until fucking 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, dealing with drunk people and all kinds of crazy shit.
But you got some stories and life experience.
Oh, it was amazing. I loved it. I loved every second of it. Even the stuff I hated at the time, I look back on it, I'm just like, oh, that's so great. And I end up at Elm Street Tattoo. And Elm Street is owned by two guys, Oliver Peck and Dean Williams. And Dean was incredible. He passed away a couple years ago. But he was one of those guys that was genuinely excellent at everything that he did. Traditional, portraits, black and gray, lettering, Japanese, whatever. Just killed it. Quiet. No one really knew who he was. He was just in the shop crushing.
Silent killer, Andrew Connor.
Yeah, dude, just like that. So my first day at Elm Street, I walk in with my box to like set my stuff up and whatever. He's like, Dean's just like, hey, come help me shave this guy's ass.
Rookie. Come on, rookie.
Yeah, straight up. And he was starting a back piece on another tattooer, this guy Alex Trufant.
No, Alex.
Good dude. And it was Dragon and the Tiger, you know. So I helped shave Alex's ass. Never met him before. I'm like, this is awkward as fuck.
There's probably only 2 dudes that have ever shaved that man's ass, and you're one of them.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I watched Dean lay out this giant tattoo and start tattooing it, and I was just like, I was blown away. You know, it's very Horiyoshi style, Horiyoshi 3 style, you know, as the times dictated. That was most of what Japanese tattoo in the States looked like.
Which is,
you know,
ill shit.
Yeah, but Dean could do it. You know, a lot of people try, you know, but Dean was really doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And then all the other guys that worked there were going to Austin, which is only a few hours away, and getting tattooed by Jason Brooks and Chris Trevino.
Big dog.
You know what I mean? So I was starting to see like
tons of
large, amazing, imaginative, well done, well laid out tattoos, and I was just so taken with it. I was just like,
yeah, Brooks and Trevino got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Kind of.
Yeah.
I don't want to say cornered, but they got it, right?
Yeah. Jason is one of the biggest influences on me.
Incredible.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, in every way. His personality, his functionality. You know, he was the first guy that like had the stencil made on the table when you walk in the door that I saw. You know,
and that speaks to work ethic. That speaks to his desire to get to work.
Yeah.
That speaks to his desire to efficiency, and you know, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I respect everybody, and I have friends who do this, but I don't think it's dope for you to start drawing when a client walks in.
Agreed.
I just don't think it's dope. I'm not trying to. If you think I'm talking about you, I'm not. But if it's a fucking shoe fist, dog, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you know, I just don't think that's dope. I don't dig it.
Well, you gotta respect people's time.
Yeah.
You know, you want people to show up for their appointment on time. Well, you should be showing up for the appointment on time too.
But what about your process? Like, shouldn't you be getting on with it so that you can get on with the next one? Yep. Isn't your goal elevation? Isn't your goal for this sleeve to be better than that sleeve? Yes. That you finished? Like, you know, that speaks to me. That means Jason Brooks wants it after.
Yeah.
That he doesn't just want to do this tattoo. He wants to do the next tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that means to me.
Right.
And I love that.
That's a great observation because you're absolutely right. And yeah, so that whole period really kicked it off for me. You know, I started seeing what tattoos could be. I didn't even really understand it until I was around it enough to like really be impressed. Yeah. You know, Japanese tattooing, you know, to that point, it's just like you see some in a magazine, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. What age, what year do you think this is, roughly?
2006.
Okay. So like in 1997, I walked in Ancient Art and I go, I I seen a Horiyoshi spread, and I said, I want a tiger crane sleeve. I want a tiger on its back, crane flying down.
Right.
And they were like, we can't do that. We don't know anybody can do that.
Right.
And they didn't say Chris O'Donnell's in Richmond.
Of course.
They said...
That's not what you did then.
They said, would you like to get this new school dagger and fucking instead? Because I can do that, and then we'll go party. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just was, at the time, it was hard to find that.
Right. So I started seeing it and being into it, but the understanding of what it took to get there was beyond me.
Sure.
You know, I was young and, you know, rowdy and, you know, doing smaller tattoos and walk-ins and stuff suited where I was in life at the time, I think, better. You know, just do 1 or 2 sessions, most, out the door, you know, getting on with it. You know, and I see these tattoos and it's like, I'm super amazed, and of course, you know, I aspire to do that, but, you know, how? You know, there's no reference available. No. You know, and even then,
Elm
like,
Street's heavily a street shop.
Yeah.
Not, even if Dean's capable, he's probably not doing exclusively big jabs. So.
No.
Yeah.
He did everything.
Yeah.
You know, portraits, like I said.
But you didn't have an example in the room. Is what I'm trying. Even though he could do it, you didn't have someone whose career was dedicated to it.
Doing only
that you could learn from.
Right. Yeah. But that was, you know, that was when I got, like, the light bulb went off.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
Did you start getting tattooed by Brooks and Trevino and those fellas, or were you
A couple years later.
Yeah.
You know, up to that point and past that, it was really just get tattooed by the homies.
Yeah.
You know, because I love them and, you know, we're in it together and it's just what you did.
I have a lot of tattoos from you.
Yeah. And it's like, most of my tattoos, I only have one cohesive sleeve, you know, and my back. You know, which is not Japanese really at all. But I didn't get it. You know, I didn't have the money or the dedication, or it hadn't quite clicked for me to just...
My desire to get tattooed, you know, was greater than my desire to get tattooed correctly. Like I said, I walked in the door wanting to get a sleeve that was cohesive. I thought having scalloped clouds on my wrist or something like that was just so uniform and tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I just imagined, you know, this crane swooping down with a tiger on its back and, you know, the feather coming across my shoulder. But you know, if nobody could do it, and I was just like, well, I want to get caught. I want to. They're like, it's the shit we do want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to get a girl from Joe Capobianca, and Andy was like, I can do a Joe Capobianca girl on you.
Nailed it.
And I was like, make sure her titties bounce, and you got a fucking deal. You know what I mean? And that, you know, that was my homie. You know, I tell people all the time, like, Andrew's 30 years in the game. I met him when I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if anything I imagined, he would just be like, and he could do it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'll do that for you. You want black Jesus head? No problem.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. I'm your guy.
So you're like, cool.
So you get tattooed by the homies, and then, you know, when I met Timothy, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And so I knew I wanted a real back piece, and I knew that this motherfucker embodied real tattooing, and he was, you know, I wanted something that you could look at. I wasn't into gory shit. I wanted Japanese, but I wanted something that was very tasteful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, he did end up doing a crane and some turtles on me. But I knew that this is the guy when I met him. You know, but prior to that, it's just homies tattooing me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it went. And, you know, specializing still wasn't a thing. You know, Trevino was really the only person I could call to mind at the time that I was aware of anyway that it did exclusively one style. Even the big dogs in Elm Street did it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is
of the times, you know.
Yeah, which is a great example too. You know, because they're like, you know, no judgment. This is the tat. Fucking make it good.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you expect from a street shop, and that's what a street shop should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have the privilege to define after having done that, if you say, okay, well, Japanese or Cholo style black and gray, like suits, big stuff, a lot of coverage, that's the direction I want to take, and you can form a clientele, then that's great. But having already done everything that walks in the door is an accomplishment. And you know better than me, it will apply to big suits. You will learn as you go that you can apply old tricks.
Most definitely.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so that started it, but I don't think I really clicked into what was required of me until, this is much later, skipping ahead. We opened Dedication Tattoo with a couple other guys. There was 4 of us. We all went in on it together. And then as that started to progress and we started hiring people, and
just because of the success of the shop, you needed people to overflow.
Yeah.
Before
you know, it's just growing naturally. And then I realized that I needed to lead by example, you know?
Yeah.
And so, and I had gotten to a point in my work where I started to feel good about it, you know, and I wanted to work more.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, it's, when you're trying to create something and you can't get there, it's really frustrating and discouraging.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So when you get to a point where you're breaking through a little bit and you can see the light on the other side, it's exciting. You know what I mean? You want to work harder, you want to work more, you want to explore those ideas, and because they build on each other and it snowballs, and you just you know, keep going. Simultaneously, I've got other people who are now working. I hate to say they work for me, they work with me, you know. But
I do my best to do that as well, but
yeah, it's
reality is what it is. They don't know it.
And you know, the whole ethos and impetus for starting the shop was that we were tired of working for people who didn't love tattooing and didn't want to be there and didn't want to lead the pack. They were just like, cool, I own the shop, like, see you later.
Yeah.
You know?
Make me some money, I'm going to fuck off.
Done with that, you know? So when we opened, we all sat down and agreed that's like, you know, if you're going to work here, you're going to work here.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're starting to get other people that work there, and I want to see them elevate. You know, I want to see them get better. I want to see them go further.
As a collective, as a pack of people that are progressing.
Right. And I think the best way to do that is to show them, you know, not tell them how to do it.
Yes.
Right?
In other words, go out there and kill it.
Yeah.
And they will see you and they'll catch fire.
Yeah. Set the bar as high as you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fucking dope, man.
Run at the front of the pack and, you know, try to catch me, motherfucker. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so at that point, there was another light bulb moment where I was like, oh, okay. And I'm capable. You know what I mean? I can. Like, I've got enough knowledge and, you know, skills, and my drawing abilities are, you know, getting better, and my tattooing technical abilities improving.
What year did y'all open Dedication?
2013.
2013. And at what point did you take on this new headspace?
I'd say 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was when it really set in, and I was like, all right.
So you're saying not only do I not want to be a part of that other way, but I actually want to spearhead a direction that's, you know, progressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that continues, you know.
Are all 4 guys still involved?
No. There's only 2 of us now.
Yeah.
Originally it was me, Brian Thoreau, Jason Boatman, and Andy Canino. And Jason and his wife had a baby. They're from Arkansas. Then they had some savings, which in Denver wasn't super meaningful.
Yeah.
But they could go back to Arkansas and, you know, really build on it.
Sure.
So their families are there. They went back. And then Andy was a Colorado local. He'd lived in Denver his whole life. And it was time for him to move on to something new. So he moved to Salt Lake, you know. And so it's just Brian Thoreau and I that own the shop now. Yeah.
Man, are you a comedy fan?
So. I like it, but it's not something I follow a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a new, you know who Big J Okerson is? Mm-hmm. Big J's new stuff is 2 specials that he shot in Denver at a very small club. This is a racist joke, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just fucking.
It's a joke.
It's just silly.
Yeah.
He starts talking to a black dude and he asks what's the percentage of black people in Denver, and the guy's like 0.3% or something like that.
Yeah, it's low.
And he's like, real estate here must be amazing. It's terrible, but fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, what is the real estate market like here? Anyway, I thought it was funny.
It is.
So, again, tell me about, unless you want to just keep talking about your shop and where you're at, but, did you take on the challenge of learning and moving in the direction of Japanese tattoos alone, or did you have someone mentor you, or a group of fellas, or were those guys at Dedication in the same vein as you and pushing you? Like, I want to know again how you got to the point of, if a client comes to me, I can tell them a story.
Right.
Because that, the reason I say that is because when my wife wanted her back tattoo, you probably heard me talk about this before, but she went to Brian Bruno, and he's like started telling her story. She said, I know. She said, I want a rooster.
Right.
And so then he just starts talking to her about that image and its place in Japanese block prints. And then he talked about this one particular emperor who was at peace for so long that the war drums at the gates of the empire had birds roosting on them because they weren't of any use because there was peace for so long. And so he was like, I want to put your rooster on a drum.
Yeah.
And I just found it fascinating that he was aware of this folklore from Japan.
Right.
And so you have some, like, how do you get there? How do you grow your library? Is it travel? Is it all the above?
It's all of the above. I had a moment before we opened Dedication. We worked at this shop called Think Tank in Denver, and Think Tank would have art shows. It was like a gallery kind of thing too. So periodically they'd have stuff, and we had a group show one time, and a guy who I can't remember his name did this painting, and I had just so happened to buy a book that was called like Japanese Fairy Tales or something like that. A little paperback. I was trying to gain some knowledge.
And that's an approachable.
Right, exactly. Just bought it at Barnes & Noble or something.
Yeah.
Not hard to find. I was like, oh, look at that.
Oh, that's great, yeah.
Yeah. So I had been reading it, and I read this story, and I recognized that the painting was about the story. And I was standing there having a conversation, and somebody came up and commented on content of the painting, and I was able to contribute the whole story. By the time I was done telling the story, there was like a crowd of people around me listening, to me explaining this painting that I didn't do.
Right.
And in that moment, it kind of clicked for me that, like, if I have the knowledge that backs the subject matter, it'll help to sell it. You know what I mean? And help deepen my understanding and my affinity for it and my appreciation for everything, I love that. So from that point forward, I was kind of started collecting more books that had English translations, of art reference, right? Whether it was more fairy tales or, finding books that had woodblock prints that had an explanation of what was going on. Yeah. The availability of reference still wasn't what it is now. Sure. This is like 2010 or 2011 maybe, you know what I mean? So you got some stuff, but people still guarded it.
It's not readily available, and if you go to a Japanese bookstore in San Francisco, you have to know what the fuck it looks like.
Right. None of it's in English.
Yeah, exactly. And so even if someone takes you over to the book, and that book might be fucking $2,000, and you're like, oh, it's all Japanese, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. But same. I would do that, and that was when I started investing as much money as I could in the books that I would have available. When I go to New York, there's New York, San Francisco. There's specific bookstores where they had like a tattoo section. Yeah. You can go look and dig through them and find shit.
About that stuff, Will Ollie?
Yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
It really is. Yes. I actually have a couple books that I bought from Will.
Oh, yeah.
He was like unloading things that I'd always wanted, and he puts up on Instagram. I'm like,
yeah. There's times where I've wanted to buy someone a book as a gift, and I just call Will.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll tell him the person. He'll be like, I got the book, immediately.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
He'll be here tomorrow. Shouts to Will.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing him. So yeah, I started reading and stuff, but a lot of it doesn't actualize in my memory until I put it into use.
Right.
And during that time, I'm, you know, still living life and doing other kinds of tattooing, and, you know, so the focus is scattered, and I'm only retaining parts of it.
It might be what you want. You still have bills to pay. Mm-hmm. And you still have a clientele that's asking for whatever they're asking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so working in that direction, it just takes time.
Yeah.
You know, and years of acquiring the knowledge, acquiring the books, doing the drawings, doing the tattoos when you have opportunity, trying your best to, you know, sell it. And as I started getting to do more and more Japanese stuff, something I never thought I would ever say, but it was like, all right, how do I get someone to get something other than a dragon or a koi fish? You know? And I love doing them, you know what I mean? But at some point you're just like, all right, there's more to this.
Yeah.
You know, so then I started trying to remember it, reading it more, you know.
Those images, like, well, at least a koi fish comes off as safe.
Yeah.
You know, someone who maybe wouldn't think of themselves as getting heavily tattooed could think of themselves with a koi sleeve and say, well, this is a classic. That's, you know.
Yeah.
It's not always, demons and shit don't always fucking sell.
They don't. They don't.
Unless it's a tattooer and you're filling a spot for them that they want some screaming crazy shit.
Yeah.
Which, I know not all Japanese tattoos are that, but I'm sure when you get to do that, it's pretty fucking fun.
It's so fun.
You can do a ghost, or you can do
Dude, nothing better than a hard-ass back piece you can see from across the street.
Yeah, dog.
You know. Can't beat it.
So, again, you at no point did you have, like, a senior tattooer around you that was doing the stuff you wanted?
Nope.
And so did you start traveling, conventions, meeting like-minded people? I'm not saying you can't do it on your own, but I feel like you have to at some point have someone to turn lights on for you, to give you some clues as to like things you need to know when drawing a dragon or whatever it may be.
Yeah. It's definitely just a collection of experiences with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
You know.
Like Magnati, for instance, that's your pal.
Right.
I'm sure you pick his brain. Like, you ever hit him up when you're about to do a drawing?
100%. Yeah, we trade drawings and sketches and pictures of tattoos all the time.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, coming here, traveling to New York, San Francisco, being around, trying to do my best to be around people that are better than me, people that I haven't worked with for a long time, anything that, you know, inspires me. Yeah. I started to do guest spots at New York Adorned in like 2011, I think, and that was a big one.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Who was the regular there then?
It was kind of like in a little bit of a transition period, so Yoni was there.
It was always,
yeah. Shinji, Brad Stevens, Bart Bingham.
Wow.
And then they had people come in and do like one day a week. Like Robert Ryan would be there randomly.
Yeah.
Brian Kaneko, who his Instagram's True Nature Tattoo.
Uh-huh.
But I'd come up here and then I'd hang out at Invisible. You know, be around those guys. See Kiku and RG and Troy doing huge shit. Garver was at Invisible at the time.
Speaking of Senji, my buddy just sent me this thing.
Yes.
You can swipe either way. There's a couple.
Fuck, dude.
It's wild. For you folks listening, I was lucky enough for someone to send me a Shinji back piece that in progress but very close to being finished, and it's fucking bananas. There's a ton of black forward-facing dragon.
Yeah, that's incredible. Love that just band of fire. Yeah, the best. The best.
Man, you know, I don't know if it's him or not, but there's a girl downstairs who has a water sleeve. Have you seen this? It's like finger waves at the shoulder and then just hard black with like a thin line of her skin tone, and she's very fair skin. Mm-hmm. Waves across here, and then finger waves again at her elbow, and then just heavy long waves, and then a little bit of finger waves at her wrist.
Right. I haven't seen it, but I'm gonna look out for it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's Shinji, but it screams Shinji.
Yeah.
It's bananas. Adam Martin's getting a cover-up sleeve from him right now, and it's bananas. It's very similar to what I'm describing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. He's a master.
Oh, right.
He's fucking Shinji. Also, one of the people who's one of the most influential people on my tattooing, and not just from an aesthetic point of view, but kind of a philosophical point of view, from a working practice.
Yeah.
You know, he was the one who told me, 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Discipline and consistency.
And that's difficult to ask of your client, though.
No. I mean, some people are more enthusiastic. They want to get, tattooing more, but once they start getting into the groove of coming in regularly and doing shorter sessions, they get it.
Is it weekly? Is it?
Every 2 weeks is the closest I'll put them together. But I tell my clients, like,
you make exceptions if someone says, "Look, man, I'm just busy. I gotta get 6 hours at a time." Do you do it?
I do, yeah. I make exceptions once they're proven that they can do it.
They can sit for it, heal it the whole night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah, I don't just let people book full days if I've never tattooed them before. I will book a full day for like a back piece outline, but not because I'm trying to tattoo them for 6 hours, but just because I want to have the time and the space to lay the stencil and correct it, and you know what I mean.
What's it? How long does it typically take you to lay out a back or a front?
So I do it all in sections. You know what I mean.
So if someone's getting a dragon, you're gonna do the head and the basic shape, and then you'll come back and build on that, or
I'll stencil everything, the scales and everything coming off of the head to a breaking point. Whether there's fire coming across
or
it,
you can just pick it up later.
Exactly, you just pick it up later,
Yeah.
and then once I'm in the groove and they've been tattooed a few times and they sit super well and they heal well, and they're like, yeah, I want to do more, then I'll let them book a full day. Or if they're traveling, people that travel from a long distance, I'll give them the full day, and if they don't sit, then it's okay.
But it makes your work day or work week a little more variety, right? Like, how many 2-hour sessions will you do in a day? 2 clients?
2, yeah.
2 2-hour sessions every day?
Yeah.
5 days a week usually?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then once your outlines are done, you're probably jamming for those 2 hours, huh?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's the idea. You know what I mean? And make it manageable. So you get 2 hours of tattooing, even if it's in a painful spot, you can go about your day. You know what I mean? You can. That's done.
Yeah.
I can move on. You're not wiped. Whatever.
Yeah.
Tattoo someone for 6 hours and like they're smoked. You know what I mean?
You too.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That's laborious. That's the thing that's not easy for you to just do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that you tattooed that way. That's dope.
Yeah, and that comes from Shinji.
Yeah.
Break it up. Take your time. It's not.
So many great tattooers are in all of his.
Bro.
Like, how do you get next to him?
So it just happened that he was out of Dorn and I started going there.
Oh, okay. So he was just a guy in the room, and you befriended him as a fellow tattooer, and he was pretty open and with information. I know he doesn't speak perfect English.
I never really even asked him too much.
More observed what he did.
Yeah, and it would just kind of he would come up in conversation or whatever. It wasn't like I was digging at him to help me learn anything. Just who he is.
Taking advantage of actually observing him tattoo.
Right.
Was probably a big part of it. Right?
Yeah.
Man, I did a podcast with the guys at Electric, and Tom Yak describes getting his head done by Shinji. And if you haven't heard that, it's pretty cool. Tom Yak's.
I listened to it, but it's been a while, so I don't remember.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Tom Yak shit's cool, man. You follow his. I mean, you can't see it. Talk about a motherfucker. When I went to Electric, I walked by and just overheard a conversation that I wasn't privy to of him telling the shop person to never use the hashtag Tom Yak and to stop telling people about it. Because, it's like how people see grass tattoos.
Right.
This hashtag grass.
Yeah.
That started to grow for Tom Yak, and I just remember overhearing him go, no, we don't want to, no, don't do that.
No, I love that. I love it.
It's pretty gangster.
Yeah.
But he was great. He was fucking great. And, an interesting guy.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only met Tom and hung out with him once. He only took me down to Asbury Park and took me to a couple shops. Went to Electric and hung out with those guys for a while.
I love that shop. Man, can you believe you're walking out of Electric, Coleman?
Holy shit.
Jesus is
Dude.
by the door.
The whole collection
The whole
is
collection's
mind blowing. But yeah, all the Coleman stuff, of course. Like,
But the Jesus head is in there.
mm-hmm.
It's so crazy. Shouts to Swagger and all those guys. Tom Yak, he didn't really. I didn't think him or Robert. And this is no offense to those guys. I respect those guys, but I don't think either one of them really wanted to do the podcast. But Swagger's always been super enthusiastic and just so kind to me. He's so knowledgeable. I always tell people I don't know anybody who loves tattoos more than Mike Swagger.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so he set it up to where they'd be there, and a couple other guys were shopping. And everyone was cool, but I don't really get the feeling they wanted to be there. And so I had talked to Swagger, and he kind of referenced something about Robert, and I asked Robert a couple of questions. And then I just turned to Tom and asked him, like, what his first memory of seeing a tattoo was,
Mm-hmm.
And he tells this thing, just, he acts like like so many smart people, eccentric people, that he doesn't have anything to offer. They like sort of downplay.
Right.
And he tells the story of hanging out in an arcade, and this tough kid comes at the fucking door, and he's got his sleeve rolled up with a pinup head on his arm. And he's like a young kid. He said he was like 12, and this kid was maybe 16 or 17. And he's like, wow, who's that on your arm? And the kid goes, your mother. And the whole fucking room burst with laughter, Mm-hmm. And he's like, I don't really have any stories. Then he tells a story about his uncle being on the run from the law and tattooing out of his house while he was a child. And I'm like, you don't have stories? That's fucking amazing. But anyway, so throughout the day, I just was looking at his hand painted stuff on the walls and the originals of his stuff. And I saw this 2 peonies and a butterfly, and it was just incredible. And Swagger was like, ask him, he might sell to you. And I asked him, he was like, oh no, that's not. He's like, but he goes, you know what, Nick, you're a good man. And he takes me over and gives me a bunch of these huge prints. And it was very fucking nice. And I asked him if he had anything else for sale or whatever. And I was like, yeah, man, if you ever consider selling that, he's just like, yeah, I just got just wasn't interested, which is fine. So then I saw him I don't know, man, a year later at Kings Avenue. I was up there for a book release, and he came in with Swagger, and I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, I'm Nick, we met there. And he's like, yeah, I remember you. And I was like, so I know you're not interested in selling that painting. Would you be interested in maybe doing a commission for a painting for me? And he went, nah, and just walked away. It was so fucking funny, bro. It just cracked me up. I just, that's what I want him to do if he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But fuck, it was hilarious to me. I just thought it was great.
Man, I'm good.
Yeah.
I absolutely love when tattooers don't want notoriety.
Yeah.
Or don't have any interest in broadcasting their work.
Well, I used to give Bruno shit about it, and he'd be like, it's right here, dog. Yeah. If anybody wants it, it's right here.
Yeah.
And Andrew kind of the same way. I recently shared this ballpoint pen thing he's doing. Did you see it? It's like a harpy.
Yeah, I did.
But it's like, I don't know, man, like a lion.
Yeah.
It's so incredible, dog.
Mm-hmm.
His girl faces, his anatomy in general, he can do great hands. He can do great feet. The hardest shit,
Yeah.
And I was like, please post that. He's like, I said, come on, dog. He's like, if you really want to, you can post it. But I don't know if I can post it.
Yeah.
And he puts very little out.
Mm-hmm.
Very little.
I'm always excited when I do see something from him pop up.
Anyway, that's my dog. But yeah, Tom was just like, whatever. I thought it was hilarious that he was trying to kill the Tom Yak hashtag.
Lately, when a tattoo's finished, I always try to get healed pics or whatever, but and it leaves and I don't post it or don't even take pictures, it feels so much better to just let it go, be in the wild.
Sure.
And it makes it a little bit more special.
Do you ever have a client that has an expectation that they think if you don't share it, you don't like it? Because that's a real thing that exists amongst clients.
Right.
I don't think that. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
I think what you're talking about speaks to the Jason Brooks thing of yes, I that's complete. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow there'll be a new thing in front of me.
Right.
And setting that free is you not taking ownership of it, and to the point that it might make you think you have to do more of it.
Right.
You can just move. And again, I don't feel like I'm speaking to you, but it just, by you saying letting it go, that what I hear is like, because I gotta get to business. There's another one tomorrow. There's a fucking, this thing's coming in. Tomorrow I got a Fudo back piece. That's where my focus is now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Any of that?
It's part of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even so much that I'm eager to move on, but I just feel like this, you know, pandering for likes or you know, the need to put it out on the internet it's hard for me to come to terms with. You know what I mean? I understand that this is the reality that we live in now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's free advertising. And so I always am thinking about business and, you know, how to keep growing it and how to keep moving forward and provide myself more opportunities to do the work that I want. You know, so that's the reason that I put effort into Instagram. But the tattooing's so magical, you know what I mean, that to like just keep it and that whole experience and process between me and the client, and no one else has ever seen it until you see it in person.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, putting a back piece or even a sleeve on an Instagram post to me is super ineffectual. You don't get the feeling of the energy that was put into the project out of your phone screen. You know what I mean? So for it to not exist on the internet and for just people to see it in person, just like a Shinji tattoo. When you see them, you've never seen it before, and you're just like, holy shit. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
You know? And
that's one of the great things about coming to conventions. I've had moments at conventions. Bro, when I was in Sacramento a couple years ago, there's this fucking Philip Blue back piece of the hot air balloon. Have you seen this thing?
yes, I have.
With all the skeletons?
Yeah.
I saw this young kid, 24 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a picture of it that he was nice enough to let me take.
Mm-hmm.
I've never shared it, but yeah, I may never get the opportunity to see that again, or there may a picture that never may resurface. That's pretty fucking exciting.
Yeah.
Like I sent it to Will, you know, like you sent it to like 2 guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
You're right. There's something to it.
It's I don't want to sound shitty, but it like kind of cheapens it a little bit to me. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but I want to see the shit you did today.
Yeah, totally.
And you want to see the shit that Magnati did today.
Mm-hmm.
He's another one. This motherfucker don't post. It takes good luck to post something for him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'm like, I'll text him sometimes and I'll be like, look, you don't have to post, but at least send me pics of the shit you're doing.
Yeah. I just send him pictures of my tattoos, and then he sends me pictures of his tattoos.
Yeah. Well, put me in a fucking group text, guys.
All right.
I want to see them all.
Yeah, all right, I will.
But yeah, no, I get it. And it also gives the client, like, but what I was asking before is, I think that there's an achievement in completing a back piece or a sleeve, particularly a back piece. And it gives them some sort of, like, you know, a positive feeling of accomplishment for you to say, this is something that I've spent 2 years with this client and look at it now, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that, and I want them to have that for what it's worth. I have not had anyone express to me disappointment over something not being posted to this point.
That's probably more of a lower scale thing of like people that are heavy in social media wanting validation from their tattooer.
Right.
Yeah. Because I guess bodysuit people aren't really.
Yeah, they want it because that's what they want.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for anyone else most of the time. You know, at least in my recent experience with my clients, that's the way it feels.
How many suits do you have going at one time?
I think I probably have 10 people that have a mind to get a bodysuit or are working in that direction. You know, whether they've declared that they're going for a bodysuit or not.
Gotcha.
You know, they're coming back consistently and just being like, all right, you know, or like I have a kid that came in and just wanted a back piece. He was like, I just want a back piece, do whatever you want. We go through this whole process.
Just to the waist or all the way to the knees?
Just to the butt. Yeah. And
like including the butt?
Yeah. Just down to the bottom of the curve.
Gotcha.
You know, which is
it's great.
It's great. Yeah. And we finish and I'm like, right, dude, let me know if you want, when you're ready for something new. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I've got appointments in 2 weeks. We're gonna start my leg. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
A whole one whole leg?
Yeah. Bring it down.
Yeah.
Continue it on. So, then we're working on the story, like how do we come off of the back and like add more content to it.
I fucking love you heard me go off about it.
Yeah.
I fucking love large scale Japanese. There's just nothing like it.
There isn't.
I love to see an ill black and gray suit. I love to see a veteran tattooer who's like pieced together some ill shit.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at somebody who's got just a really well executed uniform Japanese suit, man.
Yeah.
There's just something that nothing else has.
Yeah. To me, it's the pinnacle of tattooing.
It is.
Absolutely. It's rich in history and culture. It's super powerful. Can age incredibly well. It fits the body. It moves. If it's done right, it moves, and that is amazing. When you see a good dragon layout or a tiger layout, and someone's arm is, they're just walking. You know what I mean? And it feels alive. It's just like.
It's one of the illest things about coming to this show.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a couple. Saw one chick walking around and her shirt was pretty cut up, but she just had like a big fucking Japanese face, and I don't know what it was, but it's probably Nabukumi, some sort of like it did, but it wasn't colored blue. I don't know. It had no background. It was just sick. And then I saw another girl tattooing, and she just had a downward crawling tiger in black and gray, no background, just black and gray crawling tiger down, and it was Japanese style and kind of had that fucking curvature to the upper lip,
Right.
So much cool shit, man.
Yeah.
I get so fucking hyped running around this motherfucker.
Same. That's why I come here.
Dude, the guy that Magnani was giving me a tattoo had a Nava hand and a Whitehead hand.
Mm-hmm.
Whitehead was a skull with some flame coming up behind it and some weird texture, something. And Nava was like a Oni head. Mm-hmm. And they were fucking flawless. And they were fairly new. Like they weren't, I doubt either one of them was a year old. God damn, I got so excited. And I'm like, you're gonna get a tattoo by Magnani. I was talking to Magnani and his girl, and the dude turned to me and goes, it's so weird hearing your voice, and it's not coming out of my fucking stereo right now, or my car stereo.
Yeah.
It's like, I hear that fairly often at
I
conventions.
bet. Yeah.
And then he was very gracious and thanked me for the podcast, which always feels great. And then I went to shake his hand, and I saw this morning, I was like, what the fuck? And then I just instinctively looked at his other hand, great Whitehead, crazy, and then like, you getting tattooed by Magnani? He's the fucking, the man,
Dude, have you seen the rest of the tattoos? He's got his back, front. That guy, Rob, the guy that Chris was working on earlier today.
Well, he was put a stencil on him.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see the dude you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's why I went down there and looking for you, and they just, he was getting something like this on the back of his calf.
Yeah. I know, I didn't see those tattoos.
Bro. It was Adam, very nice guy.
Yeah.
So ill.
Yeah, I come for that reason.
Yeah.
Specifically, it's like I want to be inspired. If I'm gonna leave my comfort bubble, I'm gonna leave my tattoo station. It's got to be for a good reason.
How often do you travel?
Not that much.
Yeah.
Have
you been to Japan?
I have a couple times. Yeah.
I had a feeling you had.
Yeah. First time was 2018, and that was a pretty big pivotal moment for me in my practice. It might sound a little woo-woo, but going there and seeing source material.
Oh yeah, like temples and stuff.
Yeah, like all the woodblock prints and paintings of dragons and shit that we see in books and try to distill down into what we do come from temple carvings, and paintings on the walls in those places and stuff, and like to be able to go see it in person and like get close to the spirit of Japanese tattooing was life-changing for me.
What's your relationship with drawing dragons?
I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's like, you're chasing the dragon, right? It's constantly evolving and constantly changing, and when I think I got a handle of it, and I'll look back on something I did last month, and I'm like, man, I got to step up my dragon game, and even that dragon can be dialed, what I mean, and I'll still pick it apart and be like, the eyes need to be bigger. If I scoot this forward, it'll have a different expression. If I lock the scales in this way, it gets more movement, or it's just, I can never get enough of it. It never ends. It's
that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Never
you
ends.
Can't draw. Timothy told me 15 years ago. He was like, you can't draw a dragon until you've drawn 1,000 dragons.
Right.
And that alone, I was not around people that were that disciplined, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Timothy fucking never stops. And so when he said that to me, let me retract that. I was around Andrew, who was that disciplined, but he was just focused on creating. But in the past 3 years, I would say 3 years, he has, and I again don't even speak for my brother, but he all he does is dragons, basically. He will do a traditional sheet as an exercise to keep his muscles strong. He will do, and again, I feel like I'm speaking for him, but he doesn't speak that much for himself. If I try to get Andy to talk about himself, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I can get him to talk about tattoos, but, he will do a classic sheet because he can do it standing on his head and nails every time. And he'll do like this ballpoint pen thing because some people like it, and you gotta make a living and all this other stuff. But man, he's got 10 dragons in the works today. I guarantee he does. And some of them are, as you could put up right there. They're that fucking tall. Mm-hmm. Some of them are 11 by 14, just coming out of clouds and whatever. But this motherfucker's drawing dragons, and you can tell that he can't stop.
No, you can't. I mean, it's limitless. The poses, the environments, the way that you can render them. Like you're talking about 11 by 14, you can make it all splattery and loose, and it's just a head and a claw, and that's sick. You know what I mean? You could do it 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide, and it's all 4 legs and fire, and you can do the spines a million different ways, and the belly scales in different ways.
He just started this kid's front, and it's like from his, just below his waist, like right at his hips to here, and it's a fucking upward facing head and a claw.
Sick.
That's all it is.
Yeah. Yes.
I cannot fucking wait. He just outlined, I cannot, and he didn't tell none of us. This kid he's doing it on is a tattooer that we all know. He tattoos a classic tattoo in Richmond, Virginia, works for Jason Howie. And Andrew never said a word. Kid came in on Sunday, got his front end line. And then he sent me a picture. I was like, I didn't know you were getting this done. He's like, yeah, I've been in the books for weeks. And I say something to Andy, he's like, oh yeah, pretty cool, I'm excited. But it's so gigantic,
Yeah.
And like I said, it's just side of the head looking like the mouth open toward upward and a claw right here.
There's nothing like a fuck off dragon head.
Yeah.
That just
This is
unbeatable.
I just can't wait to see how it goes.
The power, because just it's so dynamic, and it's got all this movement and aggression, and you put that, I love that upward, arcing neck where it's almost like starting to go backwards.
Yeah. This same kid has a fucking Bruno back piece that's done in like a Bob Roberts style. It's just like Cobra and Skull.
Yeah.
By Bruno. Yeah. But like, you could tell that Bruno was like, with respect to Bob Roberts kind of thing, nasty.
Yeah. I always wanted to, but never got to do a Bob Roberts style back piece like that, where it's like one central image with like, some wavy clouds around it, and then, a couple bigger ones that also have a frame, and then like one cohesive background. Yeah. Just unbeatable. Yeah. Bob did this hand.
Bob did you?
Yeah.
Fucking right. How was that?
2011.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. 14 years.
What was the experience like?
It was really great.
Yeah?
Yeah,
That's long enough ago that I've never heard like terrible stories about it, but I've heard stories of him being like, pick something different or whatever. Like,
right. So I got this hand from Jason Brooks in 2010.
I've been looking at it the whole time it was in
It's ill, right? It's so good. And I waited to get my hands on my neck tattooed until the rest of my body was pretty much done.
Yeah.
Like some little small spaces, some unfinished stuff, but you know, I didn't feel yeah, exactly. I didn't feel comfortable or that I had earned hand or neck tattoos until I reached my hands on my neck.
Yeah.
And so by that point, I had started to realize that I could be a little bit more deliberate about choosing who I got tattooed by instead of just getting them from my friends, you know. And like I said, Jason's always been a huge influence on me, so I knew I wanted to get one of my hands from Jason. So I went and got that one, and he was like, "Who are you gonna get to do the other one?" You know, and I told him the candidates, and he's like, "Oh, you should definitely go get tattooed by Bob. He like just got LASIK, and so he's like excited about tattooing again because he can see better, and you know wants to get back into it." I'm like, okay, great. Like I sold. You don't have to tell me more. You know, Jason Brooks is telling me affirming my idea. You know, like
you go ahead and do that. Yeah.
So you got to just call the shop. You know, you can't get a hold of Bob any other way. So I call the shop. Oh, Bob's not here. Leave a message. You know, here's my name, my phone number. I want to get my hand tattooed. Nothing. This goes on for like a year. You know,
like once a month or something?
I probably called every 2 weeks.
Wow, man.
Yeah, it just, you know, just never happened.
Well,
you know?
you think if I want something, you're old enough at that point. If I want something, I gotta go after it.
Yeah. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna book a trip to LA, and I'll take my family. We'll go to Disneyland and, you know, fuck off and whatever. And while I'm there, I'll go to the shop every day until I catch him there, and I'll book an appointment.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll come back and get
Even
tattooed.
if it means I gotta leave and come back.
Yeah, whatever. You know, this is what, you know, this isn't working out this way, then I'll figure out another
More
way.
than one way to skin a cat.
So we booked a trip, and I shit you not, the day before we leave, I get a phone call, random number, which I almost never answer. You know, if it's not saved in my phone, like, leave a message. I'm like, no, I'll answer it. I answer it. There's a gruff voice on the other. Oh, is this Sam? I'm like, yeah. This is Bob Roberts. I heard you want to get a hand tattoo. I'm like, yes, I do. I sure do. And I'm going to be in LA tomorrow. He's like, all right, come to the shop this time. I go in there, talk to him about what I want, you know, and my wife's there, my son, you know, he was, you know, 11 at the time or something. And so Bob talks to me about my tattoo for about 30 seconds and then flirts with my old lady and plays with my kid for like an hour.
Fucking right. That's dope. I never heard anybody tell that story about Bob. That's shit.
He was a character. And so he's like, all right, and I tell him what I want, and, you know, he's like, come back tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm like, okay, cool. Come back tomorrow. No one else was in the shop. It was just me and him.
That's cool.
It was really cool. You go to the back room, and the guys had been like, they played a bunch of pranks on him. Like, he would, like, start taking gloves out of the box, and, like, the fingers were cut off.
Yeah.
You know, like, he used this old Lucky's power, like, foot switch. You know, it's, like, just two little metal plates.
Yeah, super flat ones. Yeah.
And they had, like, unscrewed the thing, so if you, like, hook your machine up just on, you know what I mean? The foot switch doesn't work. So he's, like, you know, figuring everything out. Shaves me with a straight razor. Smoking cigars the whole time.
That's cool. Like,
yeah.
With his gloves, like smoking?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Little cigarillos, you know what I mean? Just puffing away. But he told me all about the history of Spotlight and, you know, his life and being a biker.
Dope,
and, yeah, all kinds of cool shit, man. It was a magical experience. I'm really glad that I took the time and made that happen.
Yeah. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. My boy Smalley's got a cool Bob Roberts tattoo. He didn't show that many people.
I'm gonna ask him.
Jay Smalley?
Yeah.
Yeah. We sat up here last night, me, him, Jimmy, and Angelo did the podcast.
Nice.
It was fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
We were getting, you know, me and Jimmy and Smalley were being kind of silly, or just talking, and then Ange came in, and the tone just changed a little bit. And not because, you know, Angelo has a deserved reputation of being grumpy sometimes, but he's also the best.
Yeah.
And man, he came in last night just excited, just like, you know, willing to talk about the old days, but also like wanting to express his enjoyment with current tattoos.
Yeah.
Which you don't get from dudes his age very
Not
often.
very often.
Bunch of grumpy motherfuckers complaining a lot about shit. And he talked about no lies, just bullshit. And he was like, it's a hard thing to do. And he's like, people are being, put on the spot. He's like, you're excited about a tattoo or your concept, and you express it at a level of excitement. And he's like, then I feel like I gotta match how stoked you are about something. And I was like, no, you don't. You just say whatever you want. He's like, no, it's hard, man. People, they hear, they might not know you, and this is their example of who you are.
Yeah.
Fuck, let's not be that serious, though. You know what I mean?
He's not wrong. I mean, you do this all the time, right?
Yeah.
And you also don't listen to them, right?
Correct.
You know what I mean? So you're not reliving it and like whatever. For me, it's like this is, I'm laying myself out here. It's like,
and I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
But you chose what you want to talk about. You could tell those crazy stories about Elm Street if you wanted, and we could laugh the whole time, and that'd have been crazy. And it would have been just as acceptable.
Yeah.
But I wanted a certain thing for you, and you were comfortable talking about it, which is also exciting because I love what you love.
Yeah.
I love tattoos, but I love a specific kind of tattoos more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's just straight up. I love traditional American tattoos as well, but I didn't give a fuck about 10 or 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I really started being like, okay, my focus has been on Japanese, but there's a lot to be seen and a lot to be loved here and a lot of power. And the thing I love about American tattoos, or traditional American, is when people don't overdo it. When you see a fucking working class guy and he's got a crawling panther and a rose and a dagger, like stuff that just fits these certain parts of his arm and he doesn't fill his whole arm up.
Yeah.
Like the Tony Polito type stuff, just a name, a little bing.
Yeah.
That shit does it for me, bro. I love those tattoos.
Same.
Love those tattoos. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I never try to put pressure on anybody, but I guess it comes with also who else has done it and all that stuff. But
yeah, I don't mean to say that I feel pressured by you.
Yeah.
Pressure from me. Right?
Sure. Well, you want to be received well, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And I also don't want to, make an ass out of myself.
See, you're not an asshole. I don't think that's possible.
You'd be surprised. Will you give me another one?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I mean, that's why I've never listened to these, because I can make an ass of myself. Usually I say a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it all.
It is what it is. Live and learn, right?
Well, I don't learn because I don't listen to them.
It's probably smart.
Yeah. Like, I don't really know. I mean, I know that I know how I present my personality, but my brother has chosen to, like, he does cuts anything that he doesn't think works or whatever he does. I don't really know. I feel like he's sort of shaped how you receive it.
Sure.
And I don't even know that aesthetic.
And he does a good job, because when you listen to it, like, I can't ever pick out, like, oh, there's an edit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's very subtle about it.
Yeah.
He just doesn't like when people say and too much.
Yeah. It's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really slows it down.
Definitely. So what do you think about the current? I don't do this to a lot of people, but I just appreciate you seem like optimistic, and I'm glad your shop's busy. Do you think is there a real slowdown? And
yes.
And how long is it? If you had to predict the future.
There is a real slowdown, and our shop's busy enough. It's slower than we would like.
Same.
But we're lacking. I think that when I observe it, the things that I feel are missing, I'm air quoting here for the recording, are tourist tattoos and Pinterest tattoos and things that fill in the spaces.
Yeah.
The walk-ins are down, but they're still regular. But the walk-ins that we do get, by and large, are like people wanting to just pick through the flash books. You know
Which is
what I
what
mean?
we've always wanted.
They want cool shit.
But that's
you
what
know?
we've always wanted from them.
Yeah.
And we talked down on the Pinterest shit.
Yeah.
But the Pinterest shit
Puts
really
money
kept
in
the
it.
lights on.
Yeah. So we're doing fine.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's
same
eating.
without. Yeah,
Yeah.
very fortunate. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, the only reason I even brought it up is because you've said twice that you have to be aware of the business aspect, and I respect that because some tattooers that operate at the level you do hand over the business to someone else because that's not what they want to do.
Right.
And so I'm just curious because you know, my eggs are in the tattoo basket, and I don't think that the slowdown is going to stop us.
No. it won't.
And again, it seems like you said, there's more people coming and saying, do you have any picture machine stuff? There's more people coming and saying, I want a tiger than there was 5 years ago. I really do see that.
Yeah.
But the other stuff just isn't as present. You don't see Pinterest reference much anymore.
Yeah.
You really don't. There's a lot of still what I see is fake tattoos, what do you Photoshop stuff? Take an image, put it on a body part kind of thing.
Right.
Then the people looking at it don't realize that's what it is, and they ask you, and then it's too small, blah blah blah. And I just call them phone tattoos. There's still a ton of those. Mm-hmm. Well, not a ton, but those are still existing. But you don't see the Pinterest stuff. More and more people want
Real
the
tattooing.
aesthetic that we wanted to give them anyway.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
tattoos, yeah. And I think that's fucking fire.
Same. You know, I agree, and I enjoy seeing that stuff more. You know, the customers are more into it, and they need to be handled with less of a kid glove approach.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they want real tattooing. You know, they accept it for what it is, and they're not trying to, leave a bad review because part of their, mountain tattoo fell out because they went swimming the next day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's good sides and bad sides to it. The slowdown is real, and the reasons are bountiful. Too many tattooers, the economy, people are scared of the administration. What the fuck is going to happen next? Who knows, right?
Fuck
all the things are happening, and I think 2 more years, and that will. I'm already seeing people quit.
Tattooers quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see some tattooers being like, "This is terrible," and I'm like, "Well, doesn't that put more meat on your plate?" I'm not an angry guy, right? So my approach is not, "Fuck you," But at the same time, my approach is kind of peace.
Yeah.
If you don't want it when it's hard, then you don't deserve it when it's soft. You know what I mean? That's not terrible.
No. It might sound harsh, but it's true.
But yeah, this is our lives.
Yeah. And if you're not
7 years,
if you're not in it to live it, then go on and do something else.
and you can improve and tighten the bolts on things, and you can make your shop look iller, and you can come up with new things to offer people, and you can fucking improve on your fucking people skills. A lot of you motherfuckers are assholes, and it's no surprise you're not busy.
Yeah.
If a nice guy's next to you, he's gonna get the tattoo, and all these things are positives for us. So we just have to take them as what they are.
Yeah. You gotta evolve. Tattooing in its core nature is change.
Yeah.
So to ever expect it to remain the same is foolish, right? You have to expect it to change. You have to observe it and roll with it.
Correct. Especially in a street shop.
Yeah, you're gonna have to adapt. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You feel like you're slow, look at your life. What's your community look like? Because
Yes.
for me right now, the way I see it is we're back to, say, 2007, right? And for all the different reasons, everything's washed out. There's so many things to choose from, right? But
Yes.
what does your community look like? Who do you know? Because if you say go join a fucking book club and you're in a room with a bunch of people that you've never met before, 2 of those people are going to be interested in getting tattoos, and because they know you, they will come to you.
Sure.
You know? So how do you expand, right? It's about us. Like, we can all do something differently to improve, whether it's your work ethic, you know, the quality of your work, the quality of your customer service, the people that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
You know.
I've said for a long time, if your shop is whack, look in the mirror.
Yep.
If everyone in the room's complaining instead of tattooing, maybe you're in the wrong room.
Yep.
And it's hard sometimes to take yourself out of your peer group, because that's what it is. Like, you know, within tattooing, it's such a lifestyle. We're all we operate with the group of people that we work with. We oftentimes even vacation or travel with. We spend personal time with. You have to be engaged, and as a shop owner myself, I feel like I have to be someone engaged with all my employees, because this is not a factory.
Right.
And I want to be able to know who I'm dealing with, know if they're having a problem, know if they're needing assistance, know if they're having a fucking renaissance and a great inspiration. I'm dealing with artists. These motherfuckers, some of y'all's lives are roller coasters because of the need for motivation and inspiration and, you know, self-reflection and all the things that creative people deal with. I have to have my finger on the pulse of all that. At least I try to.
Yeah. You know, I have been wanting to compliment you for a while on the fact that you are one of the rare people that owns a shop and does a tattoo, but loves tattooing so much that you're still pushing it forward. You know, that's a super rare breed. There's not very many people like you, so respect.
Thank you very much.
For exactly what you said and everything else that you do. You know what I mean? That consciousness and awareness of what's happening around you and wanting to help facilitate, you know, the tattooers to be better,
I use that word
busier,
a lot,
and happier.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That lifts everyone up.
Man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You know, outside of my wife and children is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And before I had my wife and children, it was the only thing.
Right.
I love it so much, and it's a place to belong, and it's a place that has taken care of me as I've tried to take care of it as best I can. And so, thank you very much, because it means the world to me. And what I do is like to pay my dues. You know, that's what I try to do.
Hey, the tattoo gods are watching. You know.
Well, I'm a lucky guy.
Yeah. Well, you earned it. You know what I mean? Like you said, it was your everything before you had a family. It's like it's not because you just happened into it. You know what I mean? You contribute, like this podcast and the shop talk and your shop and everything that it all matters. You know what I mean?
Man. You know, it's funny. Annette, Annette LaRue. I'm sure you've heard of her if you don't know her. She's amazing, and she, when she was working for Tattoo Live in Miami, she said right after she started tattooing, because the first thing he said to her, she said she wanted to be a tattooer, and he said, "You can't tattoo, your pussy will get in the way."
Oh, fuck.
That's like the first thing she said the first time I had her on the podcast. She told me that, and I just, and she was like, immediately took that as as her opportunity to say fuck you to him, and and their relationship and evolved and all that stuff. But she said after she was tattooing, he looked her in the face one day and he said, everything you ever want in life will come through that door. You just got to be here doing it. You just got to be here tattooing. Everything that you could ever want will come through that door. And I met my wife in a tattoo shop, and I've met the best friends of my life in a tattoo shop, and I've had incredible experiences through this thing of ours that have taken me all over the world and made friends. All these things are so important to me, and it's all because of that. And Tattoo Live is fucking right.
Yeah.
And it's been true to my life.
Yeah.
Pretty dope.
It's super dope. Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
What it's done for people to be able to travel the way that we've traveled and just engage with the people. A ton of my heroes, and I would probably say your heroes too, are downstairs.
They are.
Downstairs. Mm-hmm. And we can walk up to them and laugh with them and tell jokes and take a shot. It's really it's quite a privilege.
Yeah.
To be in this thing of ours.
It's the magic of tattooing.
Yeah.
That all of those things are the best parts.
Yeah.
The work is wonderful and it's rewarding, and I love the pursuit of pushing myself to be a better artist and figure it out. But the people that I work with, and the people that get tattooed by me and people that I meet through tattooing and all of those relationships and experiences are what it's all about. You know, that's what makes it a rich and fulfilling life. You know, without everyone around and involved, it wouldn't be anything, you know?
Man, I've been in the game, like I said, 27 years. I'm 47. So I had a couple jobs like you did before, but I just can't, sometimes I can't fucking believe that I have not taken a paycheck from another man in all these years.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
Pretty fucking wild.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't raised to be a boss. I wasn't raised the way I'm trying to raise my children, to be in control of something, you know, and to understand the movement of something, you know. No one ever taught me nothing like that. My desire to not be, man, the air conditioner was fucked up in both these rooms earlier, and this guy who didn't speak a lot of English, Hispanic fella, came up here and fixed them both in fucking 10 minutes.
Hell yeah.
And he was the nicest fucking guy in the world. I mean, he was real nice. But I could tell his back hurt.
Yeah.
And I tipped him, and he couldn't believe it. When I went to tip him for fucking making my room cool again, he would just want to put his hand out to pound me, and I was like, no. And he was like, oh, that's too much. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'm hot in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
He was great, but I don't want to do what he did.
No.
I just don't. You know what I mean?
No, you.
And I need him, and I appreciate him. That's why I tipped him, and not everybody is able to do that. And the fact that I am is why I did it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do what he does.
Me either.
He was taking this fucking thing off. He crawled in that hole right there.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, before we go, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for, I'm so glad you sat in with Chris's, and I hope you had a good time. I know we had a good time then.
I had a great time.
Tonight. Thanks for, I really appreciate talking about Japanese tattoos, because, you know, some people want to talk about it and they don't have a grasp of it. Some people that have a grasp of it don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Happy to do it. Grateful to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. It's always super fun.
Thank you, man. Please tell folks how to see your tattoos and get tattooed by you.
You can find me at Dedication Tattoo in Denver, Colorado. It's at Dedication Tattoo on Instagram. Get on there. Check out the guy's work. Everyone's a great person.
Top-notch tattooer.
Great tattooer. My personal Instagram is The Real Sam Yamini. I spell my last name Yamini.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Operating at a high level of tattooing, spanning a career is a very difficult thing to achieve.
It is.
And so we were talking about the vulnerability of the artist, and you know, you might be confident in a room. When I say you, I don't mean you specifically, but we'll get to your take on this. But you might be confident in a room, and you might have a certain skill set that you're revered for. But the minute you decide to say, okay, well, I'm revered for my skill set, and this in my area, I'm known somewhat, and people seek me out. We can accomplish a goal together, and that's a incredible tattoo. That's fine, but then when you decide to take that tattoo and put it on Instagram, you're opening yourself up. You know who's going to see it, and there's a pressure attached to that, especially if you want to continue to do that.
Right.
Like, how do you manage that? How do you, you know, what is like your key to like be able to maintain production at a high level? You have to progress, you have to get better, or else you're not achieving as an artist, as a creative.
So for me, I'll answer them in backwards order.
I said a lot, yeah.
How do I maintain the desire to progress? For me, it's all about the journey, not the destination. You know, everything I do, whether it's a drawing or a sculpture, whatever, is just a step along the way. Because I just need to create things. You know, I need to make something tangible with my hands that didn't exist in the world before I created it.
Yes.
You know, whether that's a drawing on paper that sits in a stack and no one ever sees it, or a painting that I never finish, or a tattoo that someone gets to wear for the rest of their life and enjoy and, you know, helps them to evolve as a person. They're all rewarding in their own way, you know, and I just enjoy the process of doing it all. You know, I enjoy the reward of finding a new way to do something. You know, it's fulfilling for me to unlock a move with my water, you know what I mean? And be like, oh shit. Like, you know, it's just these little moments that I'm just...
Water's a motherfucker, isn't it?
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Dragons of water gotta be hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. And it's constantly evolving too, you know, so you have to make a choice kind of at some point on like what it's going to look like. You're going to be tattooing someone for 5, 6, 10 years to get a bodysuit done, you know what I mean, and you have to stick close enough to the way that it was done for it all to be consistent, like the whole project to be cohesive. In the meantime, your practice is changing.
You know better a little bit, right? Like you know the difference between your water now and your water 5 years ago.
So it's constantly towing this line of pushing it forward and staying close enough to what the style that you've settled on. Yeah. You know, it's a pretty fascinating process with large scale, you know, Japanese inspired tattooing that like is a struggle, you know, but it's just like I said with dragons earlier, it never ends. You know, how do you do a layout that bridges body panels from the back to the front, onto the shoulder, into the arm, where if you look at it from the front, the background moves onto the arm, not only on the shoulder, but it's seamless when the arm's down. It makes sense. It does the same thing on the back, but when the arm's away from your body, it all works all the way around the arm. You know,
it has to be viewed individually and complete.
Yeah.
It needs to be viewed the same.
Yeah, it's
correct.
An endless process of learning, which just, I love it. It gets me excited, as you can probably tell. As I talk to you about this, I'm like jazzed. Like I just want to fuck off and go draw water in the hotel room.
Well, water. You know? So I feel like, you know, once you got, if you're talking about 10-year tattooers and older, I can tell by their water if they're worth their salt.
Right.
Even if they're doing classic shit. Like if you're, you know, if you're doing a ship and the water that's breaking at the front of it looks like fucking melting ice cream, then you don't know what's up yet.
Nope.
You just don't.
Yep.
You don't have to make it look Japanese,
right,
but you have to make it look real, or as close to splash as you can, and melting fucking ice cream onto it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, Josh Brown kind of taught me that. Like I was like, fuck, this dude does really stripped down shit. But if there's water, they just got fucking dope finger waves, and they have body in a way that, you know, has power.
Yeah, it's dynamic.
Yeah.
It provides movement and action. Yeah.
Have you seen Jake's head that works with him?
I saw it happening. I was just talking to him last night out in front of the hotel, and I was like, let me look at your head, because I'd seen it happening on Instagram when it was happening, and you know, I remember it, but I've never seen it and taken the time to like look it over in person.
Talk to me, dog.
Fuck, dude. Well, first of all, it's Hoyer, so I don't really need to say much more. You know what I mean? Because his ability to constantly push forward and his work ethic is unsurpassed, right? And what I was saying earlier about finding those moments, they build on each other. You know, you get one, you remember that move, you know, you keep moving forward, you use it again, it changes, and you add something to it, and you get this depth of vocabulary and like what you're doing, so that when you encounter these instances, you can make it work, and it's interesting and new because you have this whole toolbox that, you know, you pull each individual one out and use it for a different purpose. But that tattoo is super challenging, dude. Like to do a tattoo that's nothing but water is really hard. You know, everybody talks about their dream tattoo, right? It's like always a water suit or a water sleeve or whatever, right? Now, I've had a couple of those opportunities, and the reality of that is far more challenging than you would expect. You know what I mean? Because to have water that you draw that is Richard Stell told me once that everything happens for a reason, right? And the way you see it needs to make sense. So you don't just put water in a place for without cause.
Right.
So like, the water's splashing off of a rock, or, it's splashing behind the rock or off of the subject matter or whatever. Now that's pretty straightforward, but when it's nothing but water, how do you create the cause and effect, that give it the dynamic that you're after, Now, again, Timothy, you just can't beat it.
Well, hearing you say that makes me think of the vortex at the top.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that
is the source.
Pulling it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the scallops on the back of his neck. Mm-hmm. The thing about that tattoo is that you can, like you were talking about earlier, about how to fit things, and like you said, when you see it here versus when you see it at rest, you can look at the backs, either sides or the top, and it all looks right, even as you look over it.
Right. And that's why that tattoo is such an achievement, right? Because it's a circular or like an ovular shaped composition that lays over the head, and there's no real solid panel. Like with the arm, you got the outside, you got the inside forearm, etc. It's like broken up into places. Yeah.
You can also tell, who Timothy is by the fact that none of it's rigid and doesn't match up.
Right.
Like, like there's none of it that's like, you've seen head tattoos where like they're like, oh, we're gonna put this a little bit onto your forehead and it's just a failure.
Right.
We're gonna be like, oh, this is gonna drop down your neck and it's just a failure. Mm-hmm. Like you can tell that Timothy, made a line on the forehead, mm-hmm. and that he chose to not go outside that line. And if you look at like the corners, they're not underdone, but they're drawn back. There's sometimes when you try to be like, oh, well, here's an image that normally would exist in this way, but since I'm doing it on your neck, the snake's tongue's gonna come on your face a little bit, and it's just a failure. It's just wrong. There's none of that in this tattoo. Every side of it and every angle of it is executed as close to flawless as a tattoo could be, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like that, I'm still as excited about that tattoo. Every time he cuts his fucking hair, I'm just like, oh, dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So ill.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm excited about it too, and I don't get to look at it all the time. You get to see it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our homie Seth from Baltimore will be here tomorrow.
I know Seth.
He's got the wind head.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that. He used to live in Denver.
Oh, that's right.
And he knows a bunch of tattooers. He will stop in the shop and say what's up. And
he's a fucking son.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
So
So you asked me about what it was like to put my work out on Instagram, knowing who's going to see it. Are you
apprehensive about that, and are you like hoping for feedback or nervous to who might?
No, I'm not. I'm not apprehensive about it, and I do want feedback from my peers, and of course I want support and accolades from the people that I look up to, but without question, But for me, Instagram is purely about clients. Fuck what I think about the tattoo. Yeah. Because I'm only going to see the worst parts.
Sure.
And it's just, to me, it's a free advertising platform. And
see, I dig the fact that you don't want to overdo Instagram, mm-hmm. but you're also not apprehensive about using it as a tool.
Yeah.
That's like the difference between you as a tattooer and you as a businessman.
Right.
And you as a tattooer, you don't want to oversaturate, or you want that tattoo to live outside of this rigid existence, which is Instagram. Mm-hmm. But you also know that if you put out something that is going to be respected, that it might draw future clients.
Yeah, exactly.
I dig that the dichotomy of the two.
I have a pretty good collection of old photos and flash and stuff like that, and I have some Horiyoshi 2 photos that he took of his tattoos. And there's a stamp on the back of one of the photos, and it's got his name, and then it says, "Keep it secret, keep it safe." Wow. Fuck, I just get chills thinking about it. You know what I mean? Because it just reminds me that the magic of tattooing is a sacred thing. You know what I mean? And it doesn't need to be exploited, and it doesn't need to be washed out. It will exist on its own, And that's what I was saying about, letting a tattoo go without taking pictures of it, no matter how big it is or how proud of it I am. You know what I mean? Because it's not about other tattooers seeing it. It's not even about clients seeing it necessarily. It's about the achievement that the client and I have made together. And the experience that we shared, and the camaraderie that we have, and the relationship that we developed, and that is super important to me, and I don't ever want to cheapen that in any way. So for that reason, I separate them, and I love Instagram for a lot of different reasons. I love monkey videos and fucking goat videos. It's just super fucking entertaining. You know what I mean? I love seeing amazing tattoos all the time.
I like seeing amazing tattoos. I like seeing boobs and Cadillacs.
Sometimes I open my phone and I'll look at Instagram for 30 seconds and I'm just like, holy fuck, dude, why am I on my phone? I gotta go draw. Because I'm so impressed and motivated by the stuff that I see. And I really hope that someone gets that from my work, because if you are tapped into that feeling and that's what you want from tattooing, and you look at something and you do get excited about it, it's not just something you flip past. You want to stop and zoom in on it and be like, how do you fucking do that? How is it so saturated? Whatever it is that sticks out, I hope that I can pass that on to someone along the line.
And that's what Shop Talk is, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's exactly what Shop Talk is. It's shit where we just geek out and go bananas over stuff,
It's really cool to be able to see it now too. I think doing that whole thing, putting the effort in and everything is worth it, because you get to see the tattoo, and you guys are looking through their Instagram pages a little bit more and kind of checking out more instead of it just being abstract. When it was just on the end of the show, I would always be like, oh shit, like pulling people up and looking through, trying to find the image, which was fun in a way. But this presentation I think works.
It does,
so
and it's better. It's a better representation of the point.
Right.
We just didn't know we were doing that. We wanted to express our excitement about the fact that cats are elevating and doing amazing stuff, but we just didn't have the resources or the know-how to do it. And when I met this kid Avery, he's like, man, that's a show that you have there that you should be doing. Because he really wanted me to he wanted to record every episode of NLJBS Bullshit and put it on YouTube, and I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't really want to fuck with NLJBS Bullshit. I like it the way it is.
Yeah.
And so do other people. And some people have said to me, why aren't you recording that? Why don't you put it on YouTube? But you get a guy like Angelo Scotto or Big George, they don't want to fucking be on TV. Because that's what YouTube is now, it's TV.
Yeah. I don't want to be on TV.
You don't want to be on TV. Yeah. This is a different conversation if there's a camera right here.
100%. Yeah.
There's some people who could overlook that, but most people cannot. And I don't want them to have to.
Yeah.
But this thing, he and I talked. So he and I met through another fella that was a friend of mine, and that guy brought him to a party at Alley Cat. And he just couldn't believe the amount of space we had. He kept going on and on and on about it. He was like, you do so much of it. There's so many different backdrops. And so we had lunch, and he was like trying to sell me on changing NLJBS Bullshit, and I said no. And then I told him, and he's like, I want you to tell some stories, which is the Chronicle things came out of that. And then he was like, or I just told him about Shop Talk. He's like, dude, that's a fucking show, and it's got a good name. He's like, you kind of got to do that. And so I just thought, Andy's never going to fucking be on camera.
Right.
No way. And so I went to him first before I went to Porter, and Andy goes, yeah, sounds fun. Let's get the band back together.
Sick.
And I just didn't expect that response. I was like, for real?
Yeah.
You'll be on camera? He goes, yeah, why not? I was like, all right. And I knew Porter would do it.
Yeah. Well, sitting there talking about other people's tattoos and what you're excited about, you know, is a far cry from like having to regularly fill however much minutes with your own opinions of, you know, or your own practices. And, you know, it seems like Andy's a pretty private guy, you know, and I respect that, you know, and it's wise to observe the change that would make. Just like, you know, it's like the Schrodinger's cat thing, you know what that is? Yeah. So it's the camera is the same thing, right? If you put the camera on someone that you're being observed, it's going to change what's happening in front of the camera.
Correct.
Which is smart. I think you made a good move there, you know, because like I don't mind talking about it. Like primarily tattoo enthusiasts and tattooers will listen to the show.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that's great. You know, I'm comfortable speaking to that audience. We like bring it further, and like I gotta look good on camera and like not fidget and pick my nose and like do some stupid shit. You know, like I'm. You know,
like the kid Avery, that introduced you to him.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for him because he's always trying to introduce new ideas to me. And I'm like, no, that's corny. I'm like, no, you can't. You don't understand that I can't exist in this space and do something corny.
Right.
I can't do anything that really looks like what I'm trying to do is achieve a new audience.
Right.
I'll accept a new audience because I'm on YouTube now, but I will not pander to views.
Well,
and he's 21 years old. He put out his first YouTube video when he was 8.
Damn.
He wants to put like, you know, my head sticking out the window of a car if I told a story about driving a car when I was 13.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't do that.
No.
And he's like, yeah, but that'll get that you know, that on someone's feed. I'm like, I have to exist within this space.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, there's a lot to be said for being true to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, being genuine gets a genuine response. You know. And
I'm also not doing it.
You're not trying to get.
You know how much money I've put into all this bullshit in this new thing?
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid. I'm doing it for the game.
That's what's up.
So, you know, like staying true to me, I will pay to do no lodge's bullshit, and I'll pay to shop talk too, because I think it's historically significant to do these podcasts, and I think it's culturally significant. Well, that's culturally significant to do the podcast, but the shop talk is also the people that are outside the game that do stumble upon it are hearing tattoos described in a way they've never heard before.
Right.
People that aren't part of this don't know why you would be excited about a tattoo. So they can hear Porter go bananas over something that's weird and that they might not understand until he describes it. It's dope.
Yeah.
You know? It's important to me.
Super important. And, you know, you're also helping to promote people. You know, they're like,
yes,
clients or, you know, tattoo enthusiasts might not have ever known about before. And they see something on there that is exactly what they wanted or in line with the style that they had in mind.
And they didn't know could be done.
Yeah.
You know, when you do certain shit. But yeah, whenever a tattooer tells me that they got clients or tattooed as a result of something I put out, that's the shit. Right
Yeah.
there.
That's a win.
I did a John Henry tattoo on Shop Talk when it was just audio. And then a dude listened to that who was a t-shirt guy, like Prince t-shirts. And those folks are adjacent to tattooing. It's like sign painters and stuff.
Right.
So he was getting tattooed kind of regular wherever. He heard that Shop Talk, went and made an appointment, got tattooed by John Henry. And then John Henry put the fucking tattoo on Instagram, and I chose it for a new Shop Talk.
Wow. Just when you had no idea. It just happened.
And when I did it, the kid reached out to me and was like, let me tell you the story.
That's awesome.
I had no idea. That could not be more the result of what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And for a fan of tattoos to hear that and go, I want to get tattooed by that guy. That guy make a tattoo and get paid for it. And then me give it accolades
On the back end.
on the back end.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more of what I'm trying to achieve.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's got to be such a great, rewarding moment for what you do.
Right. I blew my mind. I was so fucking tickled.
Yeah.
And, you know, Kylie, who I'm always pumping, Kylie Green, she's like, Nick, I've got a client who gets tattooed, who heard about me, listened to my episode of No Lies Just Bullshit, and gets tattooed at least twice a month. And has been for a year.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Like that. I'm like, fucking right.
Yeah, that's awesome. She's so fucking good, dude.
So good.
She is so good.
The guy who had the Philip Blue back piece with the balloon I was talking about was getting like something like right underneath the sternum from her. And that's how I can see the back piece.
Nice.
Yeah, she's a killer.
Yeah, she really is. Super
I met
talented.
her a long time ago. She was in the lobby of Absolute Art waiting for Timothy, the old Absolute Art. And just chilling. He did a fucking big ass tiger on her side. And then she put out this crawling panther, a painting of a crawling panther wearing a nudie suit. You know what a nudie suit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was Graham Parsons' nudie suit.
Nice.
And I didn't know her, but I was so excited when I saw the painting that I DM'd her and said, "Are you gonna make prints of that Parsons panther?" I've told the story 1,000 times. She said, "No, I'm gonna give it to you because everyone thinks it's the Elvis suit. And you're the first person that knew it was a Graham Parsons suit, so I'm gonna give it to you." And that motherfucker drove it from Atlanta to Harrisburg and handed it to me. It was amazing. That's how it came from.
Yeah. Real tattooing shit right there.
Real tattoo and shit.
Real tattooing.
All right, dog. Anything else?
Nah.
Thanks for expanding on that. And I love when you're like, "No, I'm not apprehensive about putting on a tattoo or putting on it on Instagram."
No,
I love
man.
that confidence.
I mean, yeah, it's a whole separate thing. Like I said, you have to, for me anyway, I separate it 100%. It's for clients.
Yeah, I get
It's
it.
for clients, you know? I love tattooers and I want the positive feedback, but to be honest, like, I could give a fuck.
Yeah, when you get
Like,
20 people commenting on it,
when I get it,
like,
dude,
wow, he's on fire.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't hurt, you know?
No, it doesn't hurt, you know, and I do appreciate it. I'm not saying that I don't care about the feedback from my peers, because obviously it's important to me, you know, but when I put it out on Instagram, you know, I have to separate what I think and what tattooers think about the way that it looks from what clients see.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's
a business tool.
It's a business tool for clients to see the tattoo and be into it and want to come in and get something like that. You know, I try to take that approach with the shop page as well. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, we'll show the person smiling, showing their tattoo.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at that picture as a tattooer, you can't even see the tattoo. You know what I mean? It's like some, you know, a softball sized thing on a forearm, and you know the whole frame is, you see the shop in the background, you know what I mean? You see the person and they're like pumped, you know what I mean? Then you slide over and you can look at the tattoo.
But that first picture you're delivering to future clients.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, Sam. Thanks, buddy.
yeah, thank you.
That was fun.
Electrify. Even die for the cash, but at last we be out, even though you're wanting more. This issue was closed like an elevator door, but soon we open once we get to the next floor with the stakes is high. You know them stakes is high. We're dealing with the